reversible, it's part of the charm. Skeleton greeters rattling at the door. Zombies doing jazz hands across the floor. Laugh a little, scream, laugh a little, scream a lot. Join my army, give it a shot. You don't need breath, you don't need fear, just let your soul park right here. I promise you'll have so much fun once your heart stops and then starts again. Welcome to the Bone Zone. Come play the necromantic way. Welcome to the Bone Zone. Get killed for free, resurrect today. Sign your corpse at the sound of the tone. Kathleen welcomes you to the Bone Zone. Spin the wheel of how did I die? Was it poison blades or a ghoul nearby? Win fabulous prizes, a ribcage hat, a femur flute, a dancing undead. Don't you love the spooky thrill? You can volunteer or I can kill. Either way, it's all the same. You'll rise again, improved by pain. Don't fear the dark, don't fear your doom. I'll tuck you snug in your tomb, then snap your back. New bone, new tone, ready to serve in my cobblestone throne. Welcome to the Bone Zone, where dying's just the entry fee. Welcome to the Bone Zone, where skeletons dance professionally. Just sign your spine on the mercy loan. Kathleen welcomes you to the Bone Zone. Oh, darling, come closer. Yes, there. See this scythe? It's purely for flair. Necromancers don't kill, we pre-adjust. A bit of death, a bit of trust. You'll be fine. Probably, maybe. Okay. No, but it's reversible. Probably. Rise, rise, join my undead prize. March, 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 till your joints go starch. Serve, serve in eternal bone reserve. When calls, obey the tone. Come on down to the Bone Zone. Welcome to the Bone Zone. You'll laugh, you'll scream, you'll moan. Welcome to the Bone Zone. Your corpse has never felt this at home. Once you're dead, you'll never be alone. Kathleen claims you in the Bone Zone. One little death and you're good as new. If you survive, take home a skull or two. Thanks for visiting, scream again soon. The Bone Zone's open under every moon. Spend my life in the shadows, dark and cold. Questioning, screaming, no answers told. Why do people break what they don't own? Why do they make hearts turn to stone? Then I found them, my strays, my kin, blood not shared but bound within. Come for the strays and feel the fire. Open up hell and feel my ire. Scorch the earth, burn the sky. You'll unleash the demon inside. Found my pride in the chaos.
strays, your soul is mine. Come for the strays who feel the fire. Open up hell and feel my ire. Scorch the earth, burn the sky. You unleash the demon inside. You unleash the demon inside.
Imagine being
Why can't I just be crazy? Why do I have to be right? Take your meds! Family dinner, Thanksgiving fight. Everyone says I'm not rap tight. Pass the turkey, ignore the clown. Someone calm the schizophrenic down. But I see the strings, I see the code. I see the matrix start to erode. You call me black sheep, you call me a liar. While the world burns in a stage dumpster fire. I pray to God that I was insane, that it was just a tumor inside of my brain. But the documents leaked, the files are out, and now there is not a shadow of doubt. I'm always right, and I fucking hate it. Every theory they validated. The frogs are gay, the water is cursed. We killed JFK, and that wasn't the worst. I wanted to be wrong, I wanted to be blind, but I'm the only one with a functional mind. I hate being right. Chemtrails painting the sky like art. Demon politicians tearing us apart. Two shooters for Ukraine paid for the plot. Thank God those idiots couldn't land a shot. I called Epstein a bitch in Fortnite just last week. He's alive in the bunker, listen to him speak. He ruined WoW, he nerfed the loot. He's trading fan art in an Armani suit. They have more cakes than Rock Lee. Open up the door, pizza is poison, I won't eat it anymore. The cheese is a lie, the sauce is a sin. You don't wanna know the dungeon that they're in. Medical experiments, dark and depraved, turning kids into Filtayari. Not can be saved. Like peas and carrots on a plate. The Olympics are a ritual to seal our fate. An offering to hell televised live while the sheep will just cheer and high five. Nobody told me all of this years and years ago, but nobody listened, nobody wanted to know. They killed Michael Jackson, stopped his heartbeat for saving Kevin from the white and blue island. Interdimensional demons, legions of bored apes, blocking the chain, steering the shapes. I won't serve the Kali Yuga. I draw my sword to tell the truth. I'm always right, and I fucking hate it. every theory they validated. The frogs are gay, the water is taste. We kill JFK, and that wasn't the one. I wanted to be wronged, I wanted to be blind, but I'm the only one with a functional mind. Bury the gold in the backyard, next to the boneyard. Stay away from my coast. I told you so. I just want to say, I am enjoying life, and I have no thoughts of suicide. If something happens to me, it was Israel.
You either spend hours modeling them in Blender. I generated them using Triple.
How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Nightowl. We got a kind of seat of the pants show today. Didn't really find much interesting. There's some news. Not really many AI reacts these days, unfortunately. Got to stick to my principles. But the show goes on nonetheless. Alright. So this is a video that
For a few months now.
this is a video that Penny Bloomfield actually recommended yesterday that I never got to. What's up, Harble? Welcome in, welcome in. This one is Liberal White Woman. Think before you sleep. Now this one's a long ass video. It's almost an hour long, 48 minutes. We're gonna buckle in, knock this one off right out the gate, because it's easily, I think, the longest video. I think like the second longest video is like the Crowder one about the Muslims, but we'll get there eventually. Okay, now I'm gonna start this video, and then I'm gonna run real quick and grab my coffee off the coffee maker, because it didn't brew when I set it up the first time, so I had to wait a little bit longer. Alright, here we go.
Definitely gotten way more self-conscious. Like, I lived in the States, right? Going to grocery stores and like whatever, like I can wear like the bummiest fit and I wouldn't care, right?
Honestly, I don't know how everyone's gonna take this, but I really hate it when people go out in public dressed like they just got out of bed or like they're homeless. I'm not old enough to remember when people used to wear suits on planes. However, I am old enough to remember when going to the store in your pajamas was highly frowned upon. But now it's just normal, and I think what comes along with not taking pride in how you present yourself is worse overall behavior.
But now, like, even if I go to Konbini, I feel like I need to be wearing like a decent fit, and that's something that like would have never happened if I was still in the States. And it's probably because everyone always looks so good.
Right, you should feel bad about looking like a slob every day in public, and in other videos when I say that we should be borrowing the good parts from certain cultures, this is what I mean. Encouraging pro-social behaviors is more of what this country needs, because it just seems like these days, a vast portion of the people who are big on social media model tons of behavior that will make people hate you.
Hi, I told you you're hot before, but might have been the dark lighting.
What?
Might have been the dark lighting.
This guy Clavicular quite possibly has the worst social skills out of any popular influencer. Don't worry, she got him back though.
I thought you'd be taller in person. What? I thought you'd be taller in person.
He's going to cry about that the minute he gets home. But outside of being famous for being a degenerate, there's a real societal cost to lots of people not having social skills.
Bro, I thought this video was about fucking liberal white women, not fucking retards.
Actively piss people off. And the cost is that these things seem to be a large contributor to political radicalism on both sides. And this lack of social skills can really lead to the promotion of some horrendous policies, more so because the ones in favor of them are depressed people with endless free time who like to engage in activism as some sort of outlet to make themselves feel good, and not because they're fighting for some moral cause that actually helps people. Which brings us to our main character, Evie. You might recognize her from that one video that I did a little while back as the girl who uses a massive amount of AI in all of her videos to edit her face to look like a doll, which is very visually disturbing. But in this video, she's going to talk about racism in a way that I think is very politically radical. And what I would like to do is talk about all the antisocial behaviors that led her to those beliefs that most people don't agree with. But before that, recently a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They knew their apps could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but did not share those risks while prioritizing profits. If you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm they caused. You can use the link in my description or scan the QR code to take a short quiz to see if you qualify for a case. You may be entitled to a potential recovery of over $1,000. All right, let's get into it.
For today's video, I wanted to discuss a more serious topic, and we're going to be talking about racism in the cosplay community. I do want to put some
I
context.
love how the AI is failing and still just making her look like an old hag.
For a lot of people,
You can't hide.
racism, discrimination. We're also going to be talking about a lot of kind of quite scary.
What's up, Noise? How you doing, man?
If those topics sound like they are too upsetting for you to hear, please take care of yourself and your mental health first, and I will see you in the next video.
See what I mean by lacking in social skills? One of the trigger warnings was, I'm going to talk about ideas you don't agree with. I like how she starts off political content that's intended for adults by saying, hey, if you're too emotionally weak to listen to an already biased version of this story that's designed to make you feel like a good person, then feel free to skip this video.
Something that really shocked me is that a lot of fans of the anime Frieren are adamantly right-wing. And you might just think, oh, that's a coincidence.
Oh no, people who like the same cartoon as you have different political beliefs. How terrible.
I was wondering why that is the case. I came across the account of one of the most shocking racist women that I have ever seen on the internet. But I saw her cosplay of a character called Frieren, where she cosplayed Frieren as an ICE officer. Her description in her account reads, wife, pro-white, reject the global, revere the local. Now, already from this bio, you can kind of tell what type of person this is, and anyone who says pro-white, I'm already going to assume some quite concerning things.
When playing games on PC, do you ever wonder if someone had a clip with you in it? Download Metal, then go to Albums, Clips are in, and connect to any games you want.
Why? Why would that be concerning? You have Black empowerment, Mexican pride, India #1. Why is it suddenly a problem when a white person expresses interest in their own race and culture? Especially considering that this statement is likely a reaction to the mountains of anti-white propaganda that's been going on for the past 15 years or so. This screenshot was kindly provided by the Twitter user that Evie is criticizing. If you start telling people that they have to choose between protecting their own children and being called a Nazi, you're not going to like the outcome. Sounds based to me. And speaking of kids, radical leftists love throwing anti-white propaganda at children to make them feel bad for being born white. They make books about it, they make news documentaries on it. They also love diversity quotas where they say,
I don't know about you guys, man, but I love being white. I never let anybody tell me that I was wrong for being white. In fact, I was always the one to be like, hey, so like why is black pride cool but not white pride, you know? Like why is it cool to promote everybody else's races and cultures but mine is wrong? Like, fuck you. That's stupid thought. Her closed circuit friend group lied to her. Astronomical. The 3 or 4 people that she just clings to because they affirm her beliefs are what made her think it's okay to think like this. No, nobody else in the world thinks like this. It's just like people who isolate themselves in little pocket groups of people who think the same way.
hey, it would be really great if less white people were at this job or in this college. Or someone like this next person will say, there are too many white people in the room, and I don't like that.
Sorry to the Asian community, but I am anti-Asian meetup. The only mixed race Asian representation that exists on this scale is Asian representation. Generally, I'm just not a fan of whiteness being centered around the conversation for mixed race people.
There are just too many white Asians. So we all agree that this black girl is a racist, right? I mean, I think Evie is
Just say
using so
you're
much time
racist.
learning how to edit her face with AI tools that she has missed all the incredible amounts of racism that is thrown at white people on a regular basis.
Get my face on camera. We kill crackers. Where I come from, we kill them.
Meanwhile, their example of whites being racist is us saying, hey, could you stop committing crimes?
I'm sure Fat Albert there has killed many a cracker, if you know what I'm saying. Many a Ritz cracker, many saltines, brother. I'm trying to say my boy likes his potato chips.
And trying to propagate.
Hey Penny, how you doing? How you doing? We're watching that video you recommended.
Story from Evie. The primary focus is centered on a Twitter personality and cosplayer who goes by Mac, and her cosplay of the main character from Freerun as an ICE agent. For those of you who haven't seen the show, it's about a female elf who's lived for 1,000 years. I'm not going to give a summary of the entire plot, but just so you know what part they're referring to, Freerun in the show is known for stopping the most powerful demon and bringing peace to the world. The main story of Freerun is something else, but on episode 7 of season 1, there's a subplot where we see a resurgence of some demons years after the strongest one was defeated. In this arc, demons are trying to get the town leader to remove a protective barrier so the foreigner demons can freely enter whenever they want, if that doesn't sound like a metaphor for something. And Freerun, an elf who has prior experience with their kind, gets put in jail for warning the town leadership to not trust demons. While she's in prison, she says these lines that have been memed like crazy.
Demons use words to trick humans. You can't trust a thing they say.
They're
monsters who learn to speak. Monsters who found they could lure in humans by crying, "Help me."
So obviously this is like a metaphor and an important life lesson warning against dishonest people. And demons from the show are the stand-in that the writers are trying to use to teach that lesson to the audience. A part of the appeal of the show is that Freerun does not have empathy for those who want to use emotional manipulation to take advantage of her or destroy her.
Why would you call out to a mother you've never known?
It's simple. That word stops humans. Isn't that magical?
That being said, Evie's video centers around this particular subplot of Freerun because people have been using metaphors of that arc of the show to talk about immigration and ICE. So that's the background to all of this. Also, for fans of the show, yes, she's going to
Penny, I'm glad you're doing well.
The entire time.
And I did originally make like a video stitching her cosplay, showing my Freerun cosplay as an actual fan of the series. And I want to talk about why this is such a mischaracterization of the character and in general of anime. The anime is very clear that Freerun is very angry about demons, and you can see from this person's post, she refers to people who are being deported as demons.
I like how she calls herself a real...
She's not angry about demons, brother. She hates them. She thinks they're no better than rats. They're like vermin that just need to be exterminated. Like, she doesn't hate them. She's like indifferent to them. They're just a threat. She knows that they're bad, like, no matter how you slice them. Like, I don't think it's hateful to point out that they're just gonna do wrong statistically.
Fan of the show, but can't pronounce the name correctly. And right, Mac is the fake fan because she has a different opinion than you. Actually, never mind. That kind of logic is pretty common in the anime community. However, I don't think the metaphor is misapplied at all when talking about illegal immigration in America, considering how many people relentlessly violate immigration laws.
That's right. Don't you know you win when your favorite your favorite anime or fictional character would agree with you politically, even though they probably wouldn't. Like, that's how you win arguments, bro. Goku would agree with me. Goku wants immigration. Goku would agree with me. He's an illegal alien. Fucking retards.
Laws in the US, followed by fake crying and saying, "I'm so sad, please help me," when they are rightfully deported.
Kaylee says she first came to the U.S. 12 years ago, fleeing her home country of Honduras. Now she juggles 3 different cleaning and construction jobs here in North Carolina, while raising a family of 4. After being detained by ICE in February, Kaylee says she was allowed to stay until her next hearing.
Can you imagine a result where you had to return to Honduras and leave your kids behind? No, no me lo puedo imaginar.
I can't imagine it.
She's like, feel sad for me, but also I'm going to orphan my kids instead of taking them with me if I get deported. What in the hell?
Demons are monsters, and like all monsters, they don't raise their young.
You're gonna tell me this bitch has been here for 12 years. 12 years. Raised children here in this country. Made money here in this country. That she can't speak English yet? Make that make sense, man. That's what bothers me, dude. Like, I used to work a job, like a really dangerous job. Like, transporting cash and jewelry and gold and shit. And half the people that I worked with didn't speak any English. And that was why I quit. How am I gonna trust my life to somebody who can't properly communicate with me? Like, could you imagine? Like, I'm not gonna... dude, I wouldn't even let a cleaning person who speaks solely fucking Spanish, like, be on my payroll. Are you kidding me? Like, they can't read the labels of the products that they're using. Like, what if they mix shit wrong and fill my house with gas and then everybody in the house is dead, you know? Like, yeah, I'm just... If you're here for more than, like, 3 or 4 years, like, you best start learning fucking English, motherfucker. Like, it's a whole new America. Like, if you can't speak English by the time you're up to bat for your fucking citizenship, like, you're fucked. Like, honestly, you just go home. Just go home.
Young. Once born, you are abandoned.
She lives here for 12 years, gets free schooling for her kids, doesn't pay into the system, doesn't speak English, and is basically stealing resources from hardworking Americans. I mean, basically, this is a soft form of slavery. And when Americans who don't want to work for someone else without financial reimbursement say, hey, stealing is wrong, slavery is wrong, stop doing that, we're the bad people. Do you see why Twitter users are memeing this moment in Freerun now? But staying on topic, when it comes to antisocial behavior, one of the things that's very consistent with political radicals like this entitled British girl is an extreme lack of empathy. And you can tell that this is present because her standard is that racism is bad, while she ignores all the incredible amounts of anti-white racism that's occurred very overtly over the past decade and a half.
So...
Sorry about the ads. I thought my premium was still up, but I guess not. Might have to re-up that before next stream.
I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with. You're always going to be racist, actually. I believe that white people are born into not being human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be...
What? Oh yeah, I remember this fat black bitch. She says like, you know, black people are the least racist people, while, like, simultaneously being, like, the most racist motherfucker I've ever had the displeasure of hearing.
Demons. So, in this particular way, white people are all racist.
I mean, there are just tons of abhorrently racist videos like this from black people on the internet, not to mention the people who openly support Carmelo Anthony or DeCarlos Brown for stabbing white people. Now, what empathy from Evie in this situation would look like is her saying something like, I get why Mac would feel that way towards foreigners because of things like anti-white racism, but I still believe she's out of line here when she calls people demons. Ultimately, I may not end up agreeing with Evie, but these are the kinds of words that I would be expecting to hear from a person who's empathetic. Instead, what we actually got was this.
And as we all know, X is used by right-wing grifters. That is the majority of the popular people on X are people who are talking about racist and horrible things. Because that is the type of environment that Elon has facilitated. And it is where these people can go because
Elon.
they get banned off
It's all
Instagram,
Elon's
banned
fault.
off TikTok. They sometimes even get banned off of YouTube because their content is harmful.
No, Twitter has always been racist. The only thing Elon did was allow that kind of speech for everyone instead of just people who are against whites. But Evie doesn't catch stuff like this because she's not someone who can actually understand other people's feelings or perspectives. So this is not an empathetic person. This is a person who is just using the misfortune of others as a tool to beat people over the head with. Actually, I do care about the illegal Mexicans, and therefore I'm a better person than you. This is pretend empathy. If these people actually cared about black people, then they would understand that criticizing the per capita crime rates benefits black people the most because they're the ones who actually have to live around all the 13%ers. And if people like Evie actually cared about Mexicans and weren't just using them as a political tool, then they would understand that the correct answer is to maintain border security in America so that illegals can't be used to help elect evil politicians who then go and terrorize the rest of the world with pathological foreign policy designed to keep dictators in power in poor countries so that those countries never get better. Mass immigration to the U.S. is one of the primary ways that politicians who screw over the rest of the world keep getting voted in.
It is so upsetting to see the human being. Anyone I think would be upset to see someone cosplay a ICE police officer, but with a Farron wig. It is very, very bizarre to me that someone would misinterpret a character who is trying to save humans.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and we're doing that by trying to exclude the abusers from our system, but people like you keep getting in the way. In fact, some of you move to entirely different countries just to help stifle their progress. So let me reiterate this for like the 20th time on my channel, that in America, both the left and the right hate open borders. This is a policy that most people in America have hated for decades. But Evie's not concerned with that. She's more concerned about the words that we use to describe foreigners.
And the way that they refer to these people just shows so much of this harmful rhetoric, calling them illegal aliens, which is such a nasty term.
Alien literally means foreigner. They are alien to our nation, and the reason why the legal language calls them illegal aliens is because they are foreigners who are violating federal law to reside in America. But now that we've talked about her ideas, I think this next section is more telling of the problems in socialization that led her to believe this stuff.
Of course, she talks about being anti-immigration, and one of her posts reads, "Mass immigration is looting and invasion, and that's all it has ever been for our nation specifically." When you press pro-immigration supporters and said invaders on this, they will tell you it's fine and openly tell you it's revenge. Well, I would never say it's revenge to loot or invade someone, but what I would say is that people do have rights to live in a different country when they were not born with the privilege of coming from a high economically developed country, or they just want to move to a different country. It's not that deep.
No, you can't. This is a part of the new radical leftist groupthink
Not that deep. It's not that deep. No, that's why fucking borders were always a fucking thing all the time for all of history.
Live there in any country. But what if I think that's also bad and stupid and wrong and dumb? What would be the worst thing that would happen if everyone just lived where they wanted to live? It's stupid. Just go. Let people live where they want to live.
No, not if you suck as a person. I don't want you coming into my country if you suck. Like, if you're a rapist, I don't want you here. Going back to Evie, you would think that her being from England would make her more conscious of stuff like that. I don't want to live around bad people. I don't want to live around people who believe in child sacrifice or child marriage. I don't want to live around terrorists. I don't want to live around sex traffickers. We already have enough bad people here in America.
True.
The whole idea of
no, there's no reason why they should be allowed in if they're fucking violent criminals. Like no reason whatsoever.
In her video at all is that a ton of the people coming into America illegally are actively hostile to Americans. They actively hate us. They burn our flag, and they're here to use the flaws in our legal system to impose their values on us against our will.
We don't want to assimilate. We don't want to be like you. You people are so fucking sick, honestly.
Velasco getting too based, brother.
Who are you?
That being said, what kind of person would want to permit someone who hates them to live anywhere near their vicinity? Well, I had some initial thoughts about that when I first watched this part of her video, and through another piece of her content, my initial thoughts were completely confirmed. In her very next video, Evie talks about what her experience was like growing up. For context, this video is about her growing up as a lesbian.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna restart the refresh the page because I just re-upped my premium subscription. I'm not giving YouTube ad revenue.
For a few months now,
Oops.
I've definitely
pro-white, reject.
Free press. Also,
that is the majority of the popular people on X are people who are talking about racist and horrible things, because that is the type of
voted in.
It is so upsetting to see the human being. Anyone I think would be upset to see someone cosplay a ICE police officer, but with a Farron wig. It is very, very bizarre to me that someone would misinterpret a character who is trying to save humans.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and we're doing that by trying to exclude the abusers from our system, but people like you keep getting in the way. In fact, some of you move to entirely different countries just to help stifle their progress. So let me reiterate this for like the 20th time on my channel, that in America, both the left and the right hate open borders. This is a policy that most people in America have hated for decades. But Evie's not concerned with that. She's more concerned about the words that we use to describe foreigners.
And the way that they refer to these people just shows so much of this harmful rhetoric, calling them illegal aliens, which is such a nasty term.
Alien literally means foreigner. They are alien to our nation, and the reason why the legal language calls them illegal aliens is because they are foreigners who are violating federal law to reside in America. But now that we've talked about her ideas, I
What's
think
up,
this
Dutch?
next section
Welcome
is more
in,
telling
man.
of the problems in socialization that led her to believe.
Yeah, this video was recommended to me yesterday by Penny Bloomfield, and I just the stream went for a good like 4, almost 5 hours yesterday, and then I came back for a double header and did Windrose for another 2 hours with my boy Gaming Syndicate. So we had a long stream yesterday, and now I'm finally getting around to it.
This stuff.
Of course, she talks about being anti-immigration, and one of her
Before I forget, this is my boy Dutch. Go ahead and follow him on every platforms, X, YouTube, Twitch. He's a good dude. You guys will like him. If you like me, you'll like him.
post reads, mass immigration is looting and invasion, and that's all it has ever been for our nation specifically. When you press pro-immigration supporters and said invaders, on this they will tell you it's fine and openly tell you it's revenge. Well, I would never say it's revenge to loot or invade someone, but what I would say is that people do have rights to live in a different country when they were not born with the privilege of coming from a high economically developed country, or they just want to move to a different country. It's not that deep.
No, you can't. This is a part of the new radical leftist groupthink narrative where they're all saying now, why can't I live where I want to live?
Oh, everywhere has immigration laws. You can't just move wherever you want and just live there in any country. But what if I think that's also bad and stupid and wrong and...
I mean, if Think Before You Sleep is a Japanese VTuber, or a YouTuber, my bad, and he's complaining about, like, the immigration status of his country, and, you know, I think Japan is literally being invaded by, like, Muslims and Indians, like, so, like, the case in point is, if you go to another country, if you're foreign in that country and you don't bother to learn their language after living there for some time, you're wrong. Like, you're just wrong. Like, if you go to a place to live in this place, you should assimilate to the place. You should become part of the place, not seek to change the place that you move to fit you. So yeah, like, wholeheartedly, if you speak, he's not Japanese, okay. So, I mean, that's a little goofy, but I mean, at the same point, if he does speak Japanese and he did move to Japan and he lives in Japan, good on him. You know, that's how immigration should work. You know, if you immigrate, you should assimilate.
Dumb. What would be the worst thing that would happen if everyone just...
I'm flying blind with this channel. I didn't know about this channel until Penny showed it to me yesterday.
lived where they wanted to live? It's stupid. Just go. Let people live where they want to live.
No, not if you suck as a person. I don't want you coming into my country if you suck. Like, if you're a rapist, I don't want you here. Going back to Evie, you would think that her being from England would make her more conscious of stuff like that. I don't want to live around bad people. I don't want to live around people who believe in child sacrifice or child marriage. I don't want to live around terrorists. I don't want to live around sex traffickers. We already have enough bad people here in America. We don't need more of them. The whole idea of why can't people just live where they want to live is incredibly naive when it comes to actual human behavior. One thing that Evie doesn't consider in her video at all is that a ton of the people coming into America illegally are actively hostile to Americans. They actively hate us, they burn our flag, and they're here to use the flaws in our legal system to impose their values on us against our will.
We don't want to assimilate. We don't want to be like you. You people are so fucking sick, honestly.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're not American.
Yeah, that's a little goofy.
That being said, what kind of person would want to permit someone who hates them to live anywhere near their vicinity? Well, I had some initial thoughts about that when I first watched this part of her video, and through another piece of her content, my initial thoughts were completely confirmed. In her very next video, Evie talks about what her experience was like growing up. For context, this video is about her growing up as a lesbian.
I was being severely bullied at that time from the ages of like 11 to 13 by a friend of mine who basically it was like an abusive friendship that I was going through. So I had really low self-confidence and my self-esteem was really low. So I basically was like, even if I am gay, I don't think I could even like pull a girl, you know what I mean? I remember one of the things that she told me, this like horrible girl that I was friends with, she would say like, oh, no one will ever love you. And I think that she definitely caught on that I had a crush on this one girl like later on, and she would like say things that would like be like, oh, of course
It's reasonable,
nobody
Dutch.
likes
That's
you because
reasonable.
you're so ugly and you're so this and that. I just agreed with her. I was like, yeah, there's no way.
I do want to take a second to say that she was a child during all of this, so I can empathize with how awful it must have been to have a friend like that around 11 years old. Really, one of the worst things that can happen to you as a child is being told very early on that you're useless, worth nothing, and no one will like you. If you poison a kid with information like that, it will have a pretty drastically negative effect on them by the time they become adults.
Yes, I do still have some kind of like traumas from this. And I think the other thing was that like I always thought, you know, I was always the weirdo, I was always the outsider, so I always felt that way. I still have a lot of self-image and self-confidence problems.
Yeah, and so what happened as a result of that is that people didn't like her, and she had to put up with an abusive friend because she was desperate to have the attention and company of literally anyone. And I do want to take a second to emphasize that none of this stuff goes away when you become an adult. Adults treat people like shit too, they just tend to be more sophisticated about it than kids. You'll never stop bullying, particularly in the context that she was talking about in the video, because you can't force people to like you. However, the simple answer to not get bullied and not get stuck with shitty friends is to learn how to be desirable. People are calling you weird because you're missing social cues and acting inappropriately in certain situations. So learn how to limit the behaviors that people don't like and only do certain things around the appropriate people. So taking her past into account, what type of person would criticize?
Be honest, like if she acted this way as a kid, I would probably call her weird too. And this is coming from a literal you ever see that meme with the kid where he's like, I got the power of God and anime on my side? That literally me. Like I would Naruto run to lunch for my chicken sandy at fucking school, bro. Like I was the weird kid. I was the one that got bullied, and even I would call this bitch weird.
As America from a different country and say we have to let in an infinite number of people who hate us and don't share our values. Who tries to get along with people who hate them? Oh, right. It's all the kids who have trouble making friends who do that because they don't have any other choices. Like the kid in high school who tries to hang out with the popular crowd, not realizing that he's only in the group so they can bully him. So when I say I'm a heavy advocate of self-improvement, a part of the reason is so that young people don't end up with toxic friendships because they're so undesirable that no one wants to be around them. You can turn yourself into someone people want to talk to if you do the work. And also, from a long-term perspective, I don't want these types turning into adults who then take out their past childhood experiences on everyone else. Particularly for the sake of this video when it comes to the stupid political ideology of how you have to accept everyone who says they want to be in your group.
Of course, immigration does benefit us. You know, so many important jobs in Japan and the UK and in America are taken up by immigrants. And for example, in Japan, because the same rhetoric is happening in Japan.
I wonder why that is, though. Is it because they're actually skilled and they deserve to have the job? Or is there some legal framework in place that hands them the jobs because the government says so? Like, is it by merit, or are they given jobs because of who they are? Like, that's the difference.
I know, for example, in convenience stores, a lot of these jobs are taken up by immigrants and also in nursing homes. Now, this also means that obviously these are jobs that are essential workers. They're really important, but a lot of Japanese people just can't do these jobs because they are very physically demanding, and there's an aging population. So I do truly think that immigration does help in so many different ways.
Did she just say that working at 7-Eleven is an essential job? I mean, that was an example that she gave. I imagine that she's bringing up Japanese convenience stores because she's a foreigner living in Japan. Her video is very Japan-focused. And so the reason that convenience stores are the issue is because that is where you will very visibly see foreigners from India, just like America. And to that, I say no, it is not essential to mass import people.
It's kind of like the same way here in America, bro. Like, for some reason, these motherfuckers are just, like, awarded every gas station on the planet. Like, they immigrate, and then they just steal gas stations. It's crazy.
Stores in Japan, all within a mile of each other, that stay open for 24 hours a day. Late hours is why they're hiring Indians. You'll see Japanese people working the normal hours, but they probably don't want to work night shift hours for terrible pay, but the Indians will, so they import Indians, which is bad for the labor market. Stuff like this suppresses wages, which means people have to work more hours, which means they don't have time for families, and thus you get a shit economy with lots of old people. This is not a solution for low birth rates.
Right back, gotta help the wife with something.
To move to the country that they want to be in, and I think that that is just generally a human thing. But I also do think it's important to know that you don't necessarily have to be doing an extremely difficult job just to immigrate to a different country.
Yes, you do. Immigration is a privilege, not a right. Unless, of course, you want to contest the ownership of a territory in combat. But maybe the skill requirements of a job is beside the point, because these essential workers can't even do the basics of easy jobs as well as Japanese people can, or Americans when it comes to America, because the vast majority of immigrants to any country don't learn the language past beginner level, and it's annoying to have to deal with that, especially in large quantities. For example, when I was going to the airport to leave Japan, I had some issue with my train ticket, but don't worry, because the station had a highly qualified Indian on staff to help you with your problems, and he even speaks English. Guess what? He didn't speak English. So I switched to Japanese to explain what I wanted, and guess what? He didn't speak Japanese either. I ended up just ignoring him and figuring out the problem myself. And moreover, what I was getting at with the whole bullying thing with Evie from her past is that not building the skills to overcome bullying often develops into this ideology when you become an adult of, we just have to absolutely accept and tolerate everything because I wasn't accepted once, and if people don't accept everything, I might not be accepted as an adult. Please accept me so I don't have to learn how to be likable. Really, it's a selfish impulse from people with unresolved issues from childhood that they aren't genuinely looking to put any effort into fixing, so they want people to just put up with them as they are. And I know it's them being selfish because the people of endless tolerance want you to accept every aspect of their character and the things that they do, but if you do or say something that they don't like, then they aren't going to accept you, and they're going to tell you that you aren't good enough.
I noticed that a lot of the themes that these ultra-right-wing cosplayers tend to portray in their social medias are the exact same themes that are posted about
Is
on
that
boards
fucking
like 4chan,
powder?
such as being violently anti-feminist, being quote-unquote pro-white, talking about how they think that feminism has ruined society, and also talking about Japan.
I love how Powder just like rage baits everybody, because let me tell you, she's like one of the most normal fucking people I've ever talked to, man. There was one night, like a month or so ago, maybe a little more, we were all hanging out in the Discord VC for Skynet, you know, like the AI thing, and she comes in and she just starts ripping in the Feeble Mind, bro. She's like, I don't like your music, Feeble Mind, like it has a good beat, but I don't like the subject matter of it, Feeble Mind. Like talking to the man like she's his mom. It was it had the whole voice chat just fucking dying, dude. It was so funny. She's great. I love Powder.
As if it is this perfect, idealistic place, despite only having been tourists in Japan, having never lived there, sometimes never having even been there.
I love the constant elitism from this girl. I'm the only true fan of Freyren, and I'm more Japanese than all of you other people who want to be Japanese. Calm down, lady. I know you're one of the high-tier foreigners because you've been living in Japan for like 3 years, but let's be real. You don't speak Japanese to any significant extent, which is why you spend this whole interview here saying that you're an activist for Japan, yet all of your videos are in English. In fact, in a prior video, a friend and I caught you making subtitles that were so awkward that they were almost certainly written by AI. So she just pretends to speak Japanese fluently to make it look like she's in a position of authority on Japanese culture.
She even uses AI and makeup to make herself look more Japanese. She's quite literally just like an invader and a poser. That's fucking crazy.
Culture. Not that this is an unusual thing for social media influencers to do, by the way.
I'm going to order flawlessly. Samurai Mac 一つお願いします。
はい、ダブル肉厚ビーフか卵ベーコンございます。
醤油、サムライマックお願いします。
サムライマックが2種類ございます。
14 years of living in Japan, he can't even order a hamburger without stumbling and screwing up on a basic would you like this or that question. His friend had to explain it to him. Maybe that's beside the point though, because the purpose of this video was to trick fans into watching a 30-minute commercial for Nissan. But neither of these two are experts on Japan. They are long-term tourists who refuse to integrate with the culture, which, dare I say, is incredibly antisocial behavior and really just means they're a burden on that society. Especially considering that they are both activists for open borders, and they are actively trying to change the politics of the country that they're a burden on. Hey look, it's a pride parade in Tokyo, Japan, and it's full of white foreigners. Weird.
Where you from?
Iceland.
Iceland.
Yeah.
Do you live in Japan?
Yes, I live in Japan.
So you're living here in Japan for how long?
Only since January.
Like, what made you bring here in Japan?
My work.
Ah, but we're work. But like, in Japan, it's like, LGBTQ is not really progressed in Japan.
No.
Maybe it's.
But hopefully we will change that.
Yeah, great. I'm sure
That's what they
really going to
don't
help
tell
with the
you
birthing
is that
process there.
their work is just going around and spreading this shit everywhere. That's the only way it survives, if they go around and brainwash other people into thinking the same way they do. Like, if you ever go to a pride parade, it's all a bunch of like old fucking hags like that, like old dykes and freaking like young retards who think it's cool to be gay. They don't even know what they're fucking doing.
But what these types love saying is, look at all the economic benefits mass immigration provides. For one, economic benefits to who? GDP is not an indicator of the standard of living of the average citizen. Two, they always ignore the vast amount of cultural and social damage that comes as a result of bringing in millions of people into a country who did not grow up with the same value system, and not only do not speak your language, but refuse to learn it in the vast majority of cases. And because the economy is downstream of a country's cultural values, all of this, in the long term, will actually damage the economy and get rid of any short-term benefits mass immigration may have had. Everything is just money to these people because they don't have the social skills or pro-social behaviors to understand how much it changes your environment when you import millions of people into your country who don't speak your language.
I truly do believe that understanding the language and understanding the culture are symbiotic. You won't be able to utilize all of the terms and the phrases and the nuances of a language and convey that to a native speaker of said language if you don't understand the culture that the language comes from.
Right, and I think it goes the other way too. Language is a part of culture, and if you don't understand the language, then you can't understand a country's culture or even discuss shared values, which is essential for getting along with people. The values are embedded in the language. Like I said, it's not just about money. In my opinion, no amount of money is better than living around good people who I can communicate with and who share my values. You know, common sense values such as rape is bad, which is an idea that is not shared by lots of the people who are coming into America, and I don't want my country to become a PvP zone because 7-Eleven wants to pay their night shift workers less. The culture matters. And really, as for Evie, I think the lack of empathy for how others feel that comes with thinking that you can just go to someone else's country and instantly start telling them what to do is a sign of low intelligence. And speaking of low intelligence, what I get really tired of is all these online personalities trying to pretend that they're
I love how, like, no amount of editing that the woman does to her face will ever hide her square-ass jawline, bro. Like, that's why it's just filmed from that angle, too. She's like, you gotta film me from this angle so people don't see my fucking shovel chin. Like, oh my god.
experts in cultures that they know little to nothing about.
One of the biggest lies that we have been telling in Western media is that Japan does not have feminism and that feminism just doesn't exist in Japan.
So Evie has captioned her short with, "Feminism is not a Western concept," implying that Japan created its own version of feminism, independent of countries like America that dumb right-wing grifters just aren't aware of. But just wait for it. This is going to be great. I'm so glad that I get to talk about this because I had to cut it from the other video.
One of the most active and famous Japanese feminists was active during the 1920s. So this is not a new thing. Japan has not suddenly received like inspiration from the West to have feminism. I think it's really funny when people say that feminism doesn't exist in Japan because you are seeing it. You've definitely seen something that has its roots in feminism. Basically, what I wanted to say is that feminism does exist in Japan. It's always existed. You guys really, if you don't think that, please just do some research, read a book.
Very Japanese of you to brag about how smart you are and how you read so much. I can see you're really obsessed.
That would be really funny, Penny.
About stuff, I've researched this, and it's all Japanese literature that I've looked at whenever I talk about these things.
Me when I lie. But I like how her argument for, yeah, Japan has been feminist all along, it totally wasn't influenced by the West, is to give a single example and say, trust me, you've definitely seen something that has its roots in feminism. Of course, she's not going to provide any examples, but just believe her. And if you don't believe her, she implies that you're stupid by telling you to do her research for her. Did they teach you to do that in college? Here's the fun part. Evie posts a Wikipedia article about a woman named Miss Ichikawa. This is about a 2-minute read. I know that's a lot for some people, but during the article, it says that Miss Ichikawa went to the US to talk to a women's suffrage leader. The great part is that Evie actually screen caps this moment from the Wikipedia page as she's talking about how Japanese feminism was definitely not influenced by the West. I mean, this looks a lot like a direct lie from her. She cuts right under the part that talks about Western influence. I mean, even the LGBT stuff in Japan has likely been heavily influenced by Western liberals, considering that tons of the language that's used to talk about it is done with borrowed words from English.
A lot of LGBTQ plus terms are like English, basically. Lesbian, you can say lesbian in Japanese. Very original.
Not that Evie would know any of this because her Japanese level is very low. Anyway, Evie's video on Mac cosplaying as Frieren is about America and Japan, two cultures that she didn't grow up in, yet she has the audacity to tell us all what to do and be a know-it-all, while making numerous mistakes like saying the President of America can write laws, which really is just arrogance.
I can't get over the fact that she just tries to, like, warp herself into looking Japanese. Like, that's all, like, fucking makeup and AI editing and, freaking contacts. Like, she looks fucking disgusting. She doesn't look Japanese. She doesn't look anything. She just looks fucking hideous, bro. Like, that's like something you would see in the corner of your room in one of those, like, Japanese horror movies, man. Like, that's like something from The Grudge or The Ring, man. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, she looks terrifying. She doesn't look cute. She doesn't look, Japanese. She looks fake. She looks like a skinwalker. It's freakish.
And probably why she had trouble making friends in school. Not saying that it wasn't bad that she was bullied, but looking at this as an adult, I think the reason why she had to put up with a toxic friendship is because she does a lot of things that make her unlikable to people who aren't toxic. Cutting context to lie to her audience being one of those things. Many people can't attract good friends because they are toxic themselves. But keep in mind that the especially offensive part of all of this is that she frequently says that most of her audience is American.
My audience is majority in America,
Mhm.
so I post around 3 to 4 a.m. every day. For me, that doesn't really bother me because this is my dream. This is what I want to do. This is like so important to me.
So her audience is primarily American, and she very openly is trying to influence our politics as a foreigner who doesn't live here and therefore doesn't have to deal with the societal consequences of the policies or the straight up disinformation that she promotes.
Feminism has always been around in Japan, and I think it's not a Western concept.
Speaking of doing things that make you unlikable and the whole Frieren cosplay drama, Evie goes on to essentially call Mac and right-wing anime watchers a bunch of murderers because a cosplayer named Ashley Paxton, who also went by Squid Kid, chose to end her own life.
One of the worst cases of this is cosplayers being bullied for their skin color, people using horrible racist memes, which are absolutely not funny at all, because why do you think it's funny to bully someone who looks beautiful? One of the most heartbreaking examples of this is a cosplayer who unfortunately took their own life because of the bullying online, the majority of which was horrible racist rhetoric being used to try and make fun of them and their cosplays. And that really shows the severity of this problem, and it shows you that this is an issue that actually is life-threatening, because it's not just the case of annoying right-wing grifters who, you know, we see on Twitter and we're like, I'll just block them and move on. It is also the case that this is actually harming young Black people.
I'm not really sure why this was included in the video, because as far as Evie has shown, Mac is not a part of this event, so it seems irrelevant. However, because the topic is about Mac and her ICE cosplay and saying that she's pro-white, I'm guessing that Evie includes this story to say that Mac somehow contributed to Squid Kid, a Black girl, ending her own life. Now, before I say anything else, I will say this, which is that everybody gets bullied and receives hate comments on the internet. If someone chooses to take their own life because they can't handle mean comments online, then that mental health struggle almost certainly originated way before people said they didn't like her cosplays. Now, doing research on this, there really is no specific information on how Ashley Paxton died or why. The family has chosen to keep everything private, including the cause of death. Personally, I think this is a smart decision, though context clues would indicate that Ashley's death was mental health related. However, considering that we don't have any information from the family on the possible reasons for her death, I think it's extremely unfair to say that your political enemies are responsible for this. Evie does
Fucking
post a
extra
quote from this
chromosome.
article here, but they didn't provide any evidence that bullying on the internet is why Ashley chose to end her life. As far as I can tell,
That was probably one of the people that was like, oh, look at me, I'm black and I make all these anime characters better because I make them black with my cosplays, blah, 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 blah. That's probably why they got bullied, by the way.
this is just a rumor that was spread by this Instagram account that has no proof to back it up. In fact, 2 days after this was posted, the family wrote a message on Ashley's Instagram account asking people to not honor her with assumptions, finger-pointing, inaccuracies, or accusations, which to me looks a lot like a direct response to the clear race baiting that came from this anime account. And I imagine that they're saying that because the reality is that Ashley had a lot going on in her life. The funeral service is still live, so I watched it, and while it was heartwarming that so many people showed up for her, it was still very sad. This was not a fun thing to research, and I'm sorry that the family had to go through losing her. But during the service, her father states that Ashley's mother died from chronic illness when she was only in middle school. So with that said, having a parent die when you're young is incredibly traumatic, and we don't know how Ashley chose to handle that. She may have still been dealing with that loss daily close to a decade later. And I'm bringing this up because treating mental health issues requires that you look at the root causes instead of some superficial bullshit that's convenient for your political argument. Also, what certainly seems to be the case is that Ashley's family did not want her death to be used as a political tool to spread divisiveness, much like Evie is doing in her video. So, Evie, if you're wondering which social landmines you're stepping on that cause people to not like you, this would be one of them.
I'm doing my research.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe. I find it much easier to believe that you're radicalizing people into false beliefs by doing crap research and not considering more than one side to the story. I mean, did you even check Ashley's Instagram or try to look for comments from people who knew her personally?
I might get corrected
Or did you just
here.
spend 60 seconds reading a single article and thought that was sufficient enough to essentially call conservatives a bunch of murderers while implying that Mac was a contributor to it by including this news story after you spent 16 minutes calling her the most horrendous online racist that you've ever seen?
I came across the account of one of the most shocking racist women that I have ever seen on the internet.
Personally, I found this whole part of the video to be quite disgusting, and I think that Evie is a really bad person for doing that. Also, Evie, your whole video is about you not liking someone's cosplay and being quite discriminatory towards white people in the process. I hope that Mac doesn't get bullied and stays healthy, or you might find yourself in a moral dilemma here. Anyway, after the murder accusations, Evie says this.
You know, I'm descended from Holocaust survivors, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with my ancestors, but I don't know about you,
Just a little creator advice,
Sure.
Evie. You probably shouldn't be telling a bunch of people on Twitter that you're in favor of mass immigration and your family is full of Holocaust survivors. They might start saying things. Though, in an extreme bit of irony, Evie ends her video about Mac's cosplay by saying this.
Cosplay is for everyone. And I wanted to end this video on a positive note with sharing that Kenzie has in fact been banned from a lot of the local conventions in her area. An Instagram user by the name of Cordial Harlequin posted about how Kenzie was local to her region in St. Louis. But when they found Twitter photos of her wearing a MAGA hat, they banned her immediately and she stopped showing up to the local cons.
So there are two parts of this. First is the extreme irony of her saying, I think people should be allowed to go wherever they want. Wait, not people who disagree with me. This goes back to the whole, I can't have anyone who has different beliefs in my hobby. These people have ruined...
This is like the condition of every leftist ideology. Like anybody who carries like a leftist thought process in their head, like it's incomplete and stepping on itself. These people just don't even have like one linear line of thought. They just hate, and then they form their arguments around hate, and then those arguments step on the other argument's toes. Like they can't make one argument without discrediting the other because it's all just founded off of hate and whatever sounds good coming out of their mouth.
Many different hobbies by inserting their stupid politics into apolitical spaces.
I don't know a great deal about the politics of the cosplay world, to be honest with you.
It's kind of how unfortunately a lot of culture dominated things go.
Bro, if she thinks that Mac is like the most shocking racist on the internet, she just must have not seen my profile.
If you're right of Karl Marx, you're viewed as a crazy person.
The Super Smash Bros. Community is another example of that. It's full of radicals who turn everything into politics and people who you shouldn't let around children. The second part of this is that I thought it was kind of suspicious that Evie emphasizes the specific city that Mac lives in when she could have easily made her point without mentioning that. Personally, I don't ever use specific information about where people live unless they have said it.
What's up,
publicly or
G-Sin?
have
Welcome
their
in, welcome in.
And by that, I'm implying
We're
that this kind of
watching
looks like a sneaky
political
attempt to
and
encourage
culture
doxing.
shit
So I
today.
sent Mac an email on this, and she informed me that the thread that Evie showed was made during a time where many people were trying to dox her over a viral tweet that was honestly not that offensive. Also, saying this post is offensive is an incredibly ironic argument to make, considering how many wokies shout cultural appropriation every time a white woman puts on a kimono or wears dreadlocks. Like, I would expect to see something more openly racist, especially considering that just like Evie, this person also appears to be saying that Mac caused Ashley Paxton to end her life, followed by, ironically, saying that the solution to this problem is bullying. Allow me to remind everyone that before this post was made, Ashley's family wrote this message asking people to have mature conversations regarding this subject, and also said it would be her wish for people to respond to her loss with listening, forgiveness, compassion, and patience. So here's my argument. Evie starts her video by saying Mac is one of the most racist accounts that she's ever seen. She then talks about a girl ending her life because of racist Twitter users, and then shows this thread stating where Mac lives that is very openly calling for people to attack those that they have deemed racist. Now, in this context, one might interpret the term bully very generously. However, that term was used directly after someone essentially is accusing Mac of being a murderer. Also, considering the whole punch a Nazi, by the way, everyone we disagree with is a Nazi narrative, along with all the political violence that comes from radical leftists, what do they mean by bully? So Evie, why are you trying to encourage people to investigate where Mac lives by signal boosting this thread that gives up personal information and says attacking her would be virtuous?
At the end of the day, if you're going to be openly racist in public, I don't think that you should be allowed in spaces that are supposed to be safe, and, well, you're always welcome on 4chan if you feel lonely.
Okay, this is perfect. I think Evie gets it. You see, I have this very big safe.
Yeah, Sin the Rift King was like such a good freaking song, and like the music video was really good to boot. I believe it was music satire, was it not? I could be wrong, but I if I remember right, I think it was music satire that did it. Satire is really good, man. Like, really good anime, really good animator, really good Jenner. I'm not sure if he edits or not, but like if he does edit, he's a really good editor too. Because a lot of that stuff was edited. It wasn't just gens; it was just straight up edited.
Space called the United States of America, and in my safe space, I don't want millions of people with vastly different values to be allowed in, especially if they refuse to assimilate, and especially if they are hostile. I mean, do you know how many of these foreigners who are coming into America are very openly racist? It's like a ton of them. So I'm glad Evie and I are on the same page here. I told you that being in favor of border security is a bipartisan issue. Now, Mac did make her own response to Evie's video that she uploaded to YouTube and Twitter. It runs about 45 minutes, and I think the best part of it was this part here.
It's like, can you not do anything else with your life? I don't know.
Do something with your life is especially amusing, as you know if you've been following me, that I'm a wife and mother of multiple beautiful children, which is precisely why I'm worried about the state of my nation and their safety. I would definitely consider that doing something with my life, way more than posting silly cosplays online.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny for Matt to call Evie a selfish, childless loser who doesn't care about the negatives of mass immigration because she's not responsible for anyone's safety.
Like, I did not want to be the mum. I did not want to have a baby. I did not want to be in that role, even in a game.
She's talking about playing house as a kid here and using it to explain how she doesn't want children, which is why I say statements like this next one are just fake empathy to promote her politics.
Japan right now makes it really hard to want to have children, but also to have a career, because mothers here are not treated the best, and I think that's one of the reasons why the population is not doing so well, really.
Gee, I'm so glad we have help with the Japanese birthing crisis from the anti-natalist, terminally offended lesbian who doesn't understand their culture and can't speak their language. What could possibly go wrong? Note that the other British foreign expat who also doesn't really speak Japanese and who thinks mass immigration is a good solution to the birthing crisis also does not want or have kids. I'm noticing a pattern. Oh my god, on Chris's Reddit, someone got downvoted into oblivion because people were offended that he politely asked if Chris was going to have kids. This is some doomer shit. Again, I'm noticing a pattern. Anyway, Mac goes on to point out that as a foreign guest in the country, all Evie does is complain about Japan.
The fact is, Evie herself has numerous short videos complaining about different aspects of Japanese culture from a feminist perspective. She's actually a great example herself of someone moving into a nation and then being angry it doesn't welcome her, even though she's trying to change it and thinks it should change.
And why would you want to welcome someone into your home who doesn't speak your language, is constantly saying you suck,
Gotcha,
and is trying to tell you what to do? I think Mac's statements about Evie are pretty accurate here. Evie essentially spent this entire video complaining about Japan and talking about how she's going to change the country, despite not even being fluent in the language. I mean, if she was, all of her activism wouldn't be in English, right?
Most foreigners here just Instead of coming here to challenge themselves, they're coming here to find an easier way of life and just kind of enjoy the fruits of Japan without actually putting in
Lyrical
the work to also respect
absinthe.
the culture at the same time.
Yeah, I've
know
only
foreigners
ever
who
ran
live
into
here,
him like a
most
few
of the foreigners
times,
who
so
live
like
here are like, wow,
he doesn't really
Japan
stick
has
to
great
memory that
healthcare,
much.
Japan is so safe, but I don't like how Japan is politically. I don't like Japan's views on this and that, and I want to change that.
And let me reemphasize here by saying that I am almost certain that she speaks very little Japanese. This sentence here is so awkward that even my crap knowledge of the language can instantly recognize that it was written by AI. The overuse of the word I is a beginner mistake that AI makes constantly because AI translators have no idea how to handle pronouns in Japanese. This mistake is made so frequently that I don't even think she can read basic kanji because she definitely would notice it and try to correct it if she did. Also note that this video is only 3 months old, so there's no way she's made any significant improvement since she released it. I mean, holy shit, I did not realize she was grifting this much when I put her in the video about trash taste. Does she even have any Japanese friends? Why would you live there if you hate it so much? I think the only positive thing she said about Japan is that she likes anime. I mean, that's like if I uprooted my entire life to move to America despite really hating it because I'm a big fan of Spider-Man or something. This makes no sense.
I have met so many people. They have lived in Japan for like 3-4 years. They don't know how to speak Japanese. Yes, we Japanese try to speak a little bit of English, but we would prefer to communicate in Japanese.
And on a final note, Matt decides to dispel some misinformation about her that was spread by Evie.
I did not stop attending conventions because I was banned. I stopped attending conventions because I had multiple children, which are obviously my top priority. I have yet to receive official word that I've been banned from any convention, though I do suspect I'm banned from at least one for sure. It's amusing that lefties are trying to take credit for me not attending conventions because they can't possibly imagine that I'm doing anything more important than dressing up as anime characters and going to conventions.
What an own. So apparently she was only banned from a single convention, maybe, and the reason she wasn't going to other ones is because she was busy creating a family instead of choosing her career over human connection. The great thing about this is that Evie is incredibly smug about flaunting her stupid college degree and uses that to say that essentially she is a better person than Mac, as if a piece of paper matters more than surrounding yourself.
It's almost as if it's like a tactic for these people, right? Like to install their political views and their social views into other cultures. They go to these places that they hate, that they actively want to change, and try to embed there so they could spread their fucking poison wherever they go. It's the same thing that happens in America. All these foreign people come to America and try to instill their foreign fucking values on us. And, you know, everybody reasonably doesn't want to have any part in that.
With people who love and appreciate you.
Like, I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy.
Philosophy? What a useless degree to pay for. You can read philosophy books on your own. They're on Audible for like $10 each. What jobs even require a certificate in that? That's like being smug about a degree in gender studies, which I'm almost certain is just a radicalization pipeline with the singular goal of wasting 4 years of some young person's time and leaving them with a degree with no market value so that their only option is to become a smug political activist or some HR rep that everyone in the company hates. But on the topic of political radicalism, like I said, these ideas tend to appeal to people who aren't socially well adjusted, which is why this next thing makes sense.
Living with children, Hassan has a negative 49%, 0% favorability. But for the people that are living with their parents, he's at plus 30.
Yeah, I'm sure this shocks nobody. The people who are into this stuff and have all of these dumb luxury beliefs about how society should work can get away with believing stupid stuff because they're being shielded from the negative consequences of those beliefs by people who take care of them. Who would have thought that people whose parents pay for everything would be into the idea of getting free shit from the government? I mean taxpayers. Well, the net taxpayers. This is yet again why I'm such a self-improvement addict, because I want people to pull themselves out of these situations so they can start living their lives instead of being destitute for like 10 years after they graduate high school and taking up role models who promote the worst values.
And I think there's things about each person that are admirable, but you shouldn't look at people to be role models. You should look at actions as things to model yourself after, rather than trying to completely copy an individual and then take everything that they do and make it yourself. So that's it.
He's right to say that because people are complicated and flawed, and nobody has the perfect life no matter how much they try to portray it that way. In fact, the more perfect people show themselves to be on social media, the more likely I think there's some secret that they're trying to hide. I also
is very apparent with like some people, right? Like the more perfect you try to shape yourself, the more holier than thou, the more prissy and prim and proper you try to make yourself seem online. It just goes to show that 99% of people are hiding like the most bleached skeletons in their closet, right? And I know a lot of us, we know that firsthand because we witnessed it firsthand with somebody that we were all really fucking fond of. And they just turned out to be a total fucking fraud, a total fucking fake. Like, everything about them was just a fabrication for online clout. And it's just crazy how people think they're going to get away with that, being ingrained with people for an elongated period of time. Like, the more fake you are and the longer you spend time with people, the more and more they're going to, like, find the chinks in your fabricated armor.
I do think that Asmongold is right when he says that you should pay attention to the aspects of people that make them admirable. Not just because it will allow you to learn that behavior from them, but also because seeing the good in people will generally just make you a more positive and more likable person. I think if you pay attention, probably everybody has some sort of positive aspect or redeeming quality, despite their flaws. Wait, what the hell? As I was finishing this video, Evie uploaded a post criticizing Islamic countries for child marriage. Holy shit, I can't believe we found a Wokey with a humanizing feature. It's been a while. But why are you in favor of mass immigration if you have this take? The whole point of border security is to keep things like child marriage and child trafficking out of the West. I definitely did not expect her to criticize Islam, but I still don't like her though. And to continue what Asmongold was saying, first of all, he's talking about Hassan Piker, of all people, saying that he's a role model.
Part of the reason why I think whenever
How can you be a decent role model? You literally support terrorists, you pay for sex, and you just sit in your room all day advocating for terrorism. Like, how's that being a decent role model?
Right, but I think a part of the reason that people look past stuff like this and have overly idealistic views of social media influencers is because they just don't have a lot of life experience. So it comes as a shock when a favorite influencer of yours criticizes some other influencer that you don't like, only to later find out that he was kind of doing a lot of the same shit that he was criticizing. Understand that influencers are some of the most poorly socially adjusted people because we are often rewarded for doing things that are socially inappropriate. Clavicular being a great example of someone who is constantly rewarded for antisocial behavior. Or even me, people get really pissed off when I talk over movies and TV shows in my personal life, but if you talk over people's content on YouTube, it'll get you over 1 million subscribers. The point is that being likable matters. Not being liked by other people will have a severely negative impact on your life, especially if it makes you so desperate that you'll accept anyone who's willing to be around you. And what I find personally for people who have trouble being liked by others is that it's not about what they should do, it's more about what they should stop doing. And really, those tend to be the more challenging things to fix. As difficult as it is, it's much easier to say I should go to the gym 3 times a week than it is to say, hey, if I want to lose weight, maybe I should stop eating so much damn food. You know exercising is the easier thing to do because all the fat acceptance flunkies constantly virtue signal about taking a yoga class, but never about how they stopped eating candy 5 times a day. Last, I also think people see this philosophically as something like it takes 10 positive behaviors to outweigh a negative behavior. Bad behavior really stands out to people, so I think it's much better to start by spending more focus on learning how to limit negative things that you do as you search for positive things to implement. Anyway, thanks for watching, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.
Workers held captive at McDonald's with 0 pay. Wait, how's that possible?
Imagine you get off work a little bit too late to make dinner. So you stop by your favorite fast food place and you order. You think everything is normal, well, except for the
Must be from the night where her computer fucking exploded. So I remember being in chat and being like, oh, this is a cool model. I've never seen this one before. And she was like, oh yeah, this is the one that I use for my tabletop streams. I think honestly, it is a really cool model. I like it. It's cute. It's very Leaf. Like I dig it.
cheat meal, but the person
Still a big fan of the slime model though.
Trafficked. In fact, everyone preparing your food is currently being trafficked. You see, that sounds insane, but this actually happened. Because this whole story starts in rural England and ends with police uncovering a family-run trafficking operation, which involved stolen wages, confiscated passports, and workers sleeping 6 people in just one room. Because
Wait, did they make, hold on. Did they make cotton fields, but they're like burger fields instead? Is that what happened? happened?
People think of modern
Lego
slavery,
fields.
most likely they're thinking about this is all happening in a country far, far away. Or if it's happening in the West, it's hidden, out of sight, out of mind. But in this case, it was hiding in broad daylight, a simple McDonald's location. According to prosecutors in the United Kingdom, this is exactly what happened.
Now, a BBC investigations discovered that multiple signs of slavery were missed after 9 men were trafficked from the Czech Republic and forced to work at a UK McDonald's restaurant by a criminal gang. Other victims were enslaved and put to work at a factory supplying bread products to major food retailers. Baroness Theresa May, who introduced anti-slavery legislation, says the case raises shocking questions about how big companies address modern slavery.
So last week, Jan Drovanik and his partner, Monica Olahova, they were sentenced to prison for their roles in a trafficking network. And this was apparently a family-owned and ran operation because by the time all the trials were
The McDonald's sweatshop was not on my 2026 bingo card. It was not. That's crazy. The McDonald's burger bun sweatshop. Holy fuck.
over multiple.
Yeah, don't ever let a leftist tell you that slavery is gone. It's not gone. They support they support the regimes that actively participate in slavery still. Like all the slavery is over in like the Middle East and Africa still, and like it gets trafficked around. Slavery is still alive, still booming, still kicking.
Members of the same family have been convicted in connection with this whole system. And I realize this topic is a little bit outside of what we normally talk about here on this channel, but due to how bizarre it was and my curiosity for this case, I just, we had to talk about this because this is crazy. It's not every day you hear about an entire McDonald's location being operated by slaves in the West.
What the
a full
fuck?
staff of slaves.
Okay, but are the people from the West, though? Like, sure, it's in the West, but are the people in the West?
Is this possible?
From the West.
Well, I guess we'll find out, because the group spent years targeting vulnerable people in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and many of the victims were unemployed, homeless, and struggling with addiction, or simply they were just desperate for some fresh start.
Slavs? They're Slavs? Well, they would know a thing or two about slaves.
I guess the pitch was to come on out to the UK because they'll help you find work and help you find housing, and you can have a chance to build a better life over here. And I guess if you just lost your job and someone offers you transportation, housing, and employment in another country, that's, you know, an opportunity.
Dude, I feel like when I'm sleepy, I'm really unhinged. Like, I don't know. I feel like my inhibitor in my brain, like it's the first thing that turns off. It's like
opportunity that a lot of people would take. I mean, who would not want an opportunity to live in the country of Greg's and Poundland? Yes, that's a real store that I did actually shop at because I did also live in the UK for a little bit. Show a picture of Poundland. Shout out Poundland. The economy's really been giving our wallets a pounding. So
Poundland, brother. Hell yeah.
Is a Dollar General store, but in the UK. So the victim at the center of this latest case, he lost his job when John befriended him in the Czech Republic. So John Drovanik, he promised to help him find work and housing in Britain and arranged his travel to the UK. And they apparently had an understanding that the cost would eventually be repaid from his wages once he got settled in. So
when she did repair it, she had to change the motherboard and the CPU. Something was busted with the motherboard, I think.
I guess he thought that seems reasonable enough. Except prosecutors say that after arriving in Britain in early 2018, things changed pretty drastically because the man eventually found himself living with Drovanik while working in a McDonald's restaurant in Cambridgeshire. And I mean, that's fine, except he wasn't actually seeing the money from his job. And once investigators started looking into where these paychecks were actually going, they discovered that this wasn't just one worker with a bad boss. It was something way
I was gonna touch on that, Penny, but I think everybody already knows that at that point. But yeah, like the word slavery is derived from Slavs. It's crazy.
He was regularly working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Okay, that is a lot of hours for no pay. Like, how are they getting away with sending a guy to work for 72 hours and not paying him? Like, no one noticed that this dude was always there, and I guess somehow also not getting paid? Imagine standing in the
I'm gonna be real like that though. Fast food work is like that. Like honestly, when people quit in droves, and it's on the people who stay behind to fill in the gaps. Like they don't manage their people right at all.
fluorescent lights of a McDonald's for 72 hours a week and not getting paid. That is probably the definition of hell. And apparently the definition of modern slavery, because according to prosecutors, during that period, he earned more than 12,000 pounds in wages. But the problem was those wages weren't being paid into his bank account. Instead, they were being deposited into an account controlled by Monica Olahova. And by the time this was all said and done, prosecutors say the victim had earned over $12,000 and personally received just 90 pounds. What? 90 pounds for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for what? Almost 6 months? We need to do the math there. All right. Ignore my pajamas. We gotta bust out the calculator. All right. 12 hours times 6 equals 72. 72-hour work weeks times 4. That's a month.
But maybe you got free
hours a month
McDonald's.
times 6 equals 1,700.
Honestly, that's a really good point. If you were, listen, if you were going to run a slavery operation, I think fast food would be the way to do it, because then you can give them free food.
90 divided by 1,728 equals 5 cents an hour. 5 cents an hour is what this guy was getting. That's crazy. But to make things worse, when he was asking where the rest of his money was going, he was told it was being used to repay the cost of bringing him to the United Kingdom, along with food and accommodation expenses. So remember, he was allegedly living in a room with 6 other people. Something's not adding up. Okay, so if that was true, this is no longer a bad employment arrangement, but more like a debt trap. But of course, it gets worse because Drevenak also controlled the victim's passport and documents. And the victim also testified that he was assaulted on more than one occasion and was dependent on Drevenak for transportation to and from work. Also, Drevenak was apparently so unreliable that there were times he simply left the victim at the restaurant overnight. Like, imagine finishing your shift at McDonald's and realizing your ride home has essentially abandoned you in the parking lot. You're just there until the morning. Imagine moving from Eastern Europe to United Kingdom to essentially just perpetually be stuck in a McDonald's. Honestly, it sounds like a horror game. But this is where the story stops being about just one victim, but about the whole operation. Because according to investigators, the man in this case was not the only person recruited through the system. Police also eventually uncovered what they described as a family-run trafficking network that had brought vulnerable people from the Czech Republic and Slovakia into the United Kingdom over a period of years. Right now, 16 victims have been identified. 9 of them worked at the same McDonald's restaurant in Caxton. So I guess this guy was driving a freaking shuttle bus to McDonald's twice a day? Like, hello? But I guess for those who didn't have to work at the McDonald's, they had to work at a bread factory that supplied products to British supermarkets. And some also worked at both locations. So they were just super lucky, apparently. But BBC did an investigation into this. And according to that report, there were some serious warning signs everywhere. So at least 4 workers at the McDonald's reportedly had their wages paid into the same bank account. Hey, that's the first red flag.
Yeah, what
but
the
then
hell?
Job applications were allegedly completed by gang members, and translators apparently sat in on the interviews, and multiple employees shared the same address. Some workers were apparently even putting in extreme hours, with one reportedly working a 30-hour shift. 30 hours at the McDonald's. I guess that was one of the times he forgot to pick the guy up, and I guess he just continued his shift. But I mean, look, I have never managed a McDonald's before. I've actually only had 3 jobs. I worked as a paper boy, or like paper delivery route, a janitor, and YouTuber. So McDonald's manager, that's never been on the resume, so there might be a few things I'm missing. But if 4 employees...
You know, chat, I kind of want to buy a McDonald's one day. That'd be kind of cool to own a McDonald's. Wait, if I own a McDonald's, can I get free chicken nuggets? Can I get that for free?
Completely AI-driven McDonald's, staffed by VTubers. Do you imagine you walk up to the counter and then there's a little iPad with a VTuber on it, and they're like, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?" And then you just order with Nightowl, the fucking McDonald's clerk, and you get your Nightowl McNuggies. That would be basically we should do that.
Are being paid into the same bank account, and they all live together, and they don't speak English, and somebody else is handling all their paperwork and picking them up and dropping them off, and sometimes they're just left here overnight. Wouldn't that raise some red flags? Hello? Wouldn't there be some I don't know, follow-up questions when you start noticing some of these red flags?
Welcome in, like, test, welcome in.
The dude just walks out of a shift and he just like stands there in the parking lot for 12 hours, and then his shift starts back again, and then he's just on for 12 hours.
Like imagine like a Phase Connect or like a Hollow Live limited event where like there's just like VTubers running the counter at your favorite fast food restaurant. You know how hard that would go? Just like go to McDonald's and Pippa's there fucking serving you McNuggies. Like that'd be fucking hilarious, bro.
Like you just see a time lapse of him like leaving the McDonald's store,
Wait,
and he just walks over and he just stands in the parking lot like this for 12 hours. It's just a time lapse. I wonder what's in this bad boy. I don't know, but so much about this story is just so obviously messed up. And the whole housing situation was also worse because some victims were forced to live in overcrowded properties. And in one house, six grown men were forced
Hold on, wait,
to
what
live.
is that? Wait, what is that? What's the strawberry thing? Like, what is that supposed to be? Chat, what is that?
Oh, she got to sing the national anthem, did she not? Like that was pretty game changing for VTubers, bro. Like really mainstream. Like I remember watching that on I if I'm not mistaken, I think Liberal Hive Mind freaking covered it on one of his videos like back when it happened. Like I know I didn't see it directly. I saw it through like a political commentator that I was watching while I was at work.
One house,
it's a
6
cat
grown
bed.
men were sharing a single bedroom. And to make things worse, neighbors also told reporters they kept seeing large amounts of men coming in and out of the same property, but assumed it was simply just an extended family living together. But that is one very big extended family. Because I mean, like if you're in a small council estate and you have 6 men in each room, and let's say it's a 3-bedroom, do they actually have like 18 men living in one little council estate? Dude, that's just crazy. But I mean, also just looking at these pictures, if 6 men were forced to sleep in this room, they were probably really looking forward to their shifts and probably didn't even want to go home. Yeah, this is messed up. This is just cooked. How do you fix 6 people? Like, do they all, I guess the entire floor at night. So they folded up the mattresses, I'm guessing, and they just kind of like fold them down on the floor and then 6 dudes just sleep there. Oh man.
Jeez.
But I guess, I mean, if you're wondering how something like this keeps people trapped for years, that's where the prosecution's description of invisible handcuffs comes in. Because whenever people hear the phrase modern slavery, they tend to imagine someone, you know, physically chained up somewhere. But normally, that's not the case.
I've never
because
thought that.
many of the victims didn't speak English. Their passports and identification documents.
It's all over like threat of violence and like perceived control. Like they maneuver these people into these positions to where they can't communicate, they can't speak for themselves. They feel trapped, and they feel like the only person that can like do anything for them is their captor. It's like it's like inflicting Stockholm syndrome on somebody for profit. It's kind of nuts.
They'd allegedly been taken.
It's the same way all this human trafficking works too. Like these people are given to the cartels and stuff in exchange for like paying off their debts, and like what they do is they'll sell their daughter to the cartel, and then the cartel will take these people's daughters and go put them to work in brothels or like sell them wholesale to people to cover like the debts of their families. And like these little girls have like nobody to turn to other than their captors because they can't speak English. They're scared. They're probably threatened and raped and abused every day. Like a lot of these people just have nowhere to go. That's where the term invisible handcuffs comes from.
And they had little to no access to their own money. Then to make things worse, the people exploiting them controlled where they.
It's because they want to stay there, right? Like they think that if they just keep working long enough that they'll get to stay there. The whole point is that they want to be there illegally, because they could just run away and be like, I've been trafficked or something like that, right?
Lived, how they got to work, and in some cases, how they even communicated with the outside world. So I mean, even if they wanted to leave,
The only thing I guess would be if they're scared of the gangs back at home, that like if they did that they would get deported back into revenge, maybe. I mean, it's the only other thing I can think of.
where were they gonna go?
Now, when I was like really young, my family always kind of skirted the poverty line. Like, well, we were always in like huge groups. Like even when I was like in my teens, like my mom and her friends would always like run around together like a fucking herd. So there would always be like a good like 15 to 25 of us in like a big group, like 3 moms and all their fucking kids and like maybe a few friends, like crazy shit. Like I hated it. I hated every minute of my childhood because there was like never a moment's peace. There was always somebody fucking wanting something from you, always having to go somewhere, do something, always babysit somebody else's fucking kids involuntarily.
Oh, you're in a foreign country, you don't speak the language, you don't have your documents, and you don't have your paycheck. Like, that's why investigators say victims were actively trapped despite not being physically locked in a room. But apparently, some victims did try to escape. Workers would flee back to the Czech Republic, only to be tracked down and trafficked back to the UK again. I mean, that is just a whole new level of being stuck in purgatory. But meanwhile, prosecutors say the people who were running this whole thing were doing quite well for themselves.
Forced to live in an attic and an unheated, leaking out building, victims were found legitimate jobs by a criminal gang led by brothers Ernest and Stenek Drevenok, who referred to them as livestock and stole hundreds of thousands of pounds from their wages to fund luxury lifestyles, new cars, gold jewelry, and foreign holidays.
This is literally a picture that Drevenok posted of him just chilling on the beach. And this, of course, is all while the whole operation was going on. So while I guess he had a whole bunch of people permanently stuck at a McDonald's location, he could just relax on the beach somewhere.
Oh, but I've heard of the Mouse Utopia thing, and it was pretty fucked up. Maybe I'll give it a watch.
In another branch of this case, investigators estimated the network stole at least 200,000 pounds from workers over a 4-year period. And again, this is all somehow through a McDonald's location in the UK. So again, like, how did this go on without anyone noticing? Because after the investigation, McDonald's announced that it had commissioned an independent review and updated its system to better detect things like shared bank accounts, excessive working hours, and the use of interpreters during interviews. And I feel like those are like one of those things that maybe should have been there.
Yeah,
like they just kind of like announced like, good news, everyone. We've introduced these new.
We have this person. He's here to sign up for the job. I'm the interpreter. Like, wait, what? You can't even speak English? The hell?
Safeguards that probably should have been there from the start, but hey, we fixed it, guys. And the company also says on its human rights page that it reassesses its policies through consultation and benchmarking to reflect the latest insights. And I mean, thankfully, they at least acknowledge.
Yeah, true, Penny, true. Like, literally, it would either be like a bunch of couch cushions that I like took off the couch and like laid on the floor because I was too tall for the couches. And they would always be dirty as fuck, by the way. And no blanket, like no blanket, no pillow, just fucking couch cushions because that's how we roll, bro. You ever see the meme of like when you stay the night over at your friend's house and they forget to give you a blanket, so you just like chew through the mattress and like shove yourself into the mattress, or like find a cardboard box or like a door or something to cover yourself up with? It's kind of like how it was.
Acknowledged this and did make changes as soon as this came to light. But I mean, that's definitely a problem with the whole franchisee model, because at the end of the day, apparently you never really know who's a franchisee of yours. But obviously, McDonald's is not the only blame here. It's just extremely dystopian.
I don't
that
really
pretty
know
much
if
the entire McDonald's
like
staff were
corporate
slaves.
has to blame for
that's
this.
just crazy. But obviously, they didn't only work at McDonald's. They also worked at a bread factory. And according to the BBC, victims were also working there for years before the operation was finally uncovered, which means this wasn't just a story about one restaurant. No, this is a story about how a trafficking network managed to operate across multiple businesses for years without being detected. And obviously, we've already stated the massive red flags here. But according to investigators, the operation finally began to unravel in 2019 because victims contacted police in the Czech Republic, who then passed the information to the British authorities. So in October of 2019, specialist officers began speaking with workers connected to the McDonald's operation, and several victims agreed to leave the officers immediately, while others followed shortly after. And the first convictions came against Ernest Devenbrock and his partner, Veronika Bubenikova. I am butchering names here left and right, probably. Apologies. But prosecutors described them as central figures in the operation. And another brother, Stenek Drevenok, was also later convicted as a part of the wider case as well. But then you had the trial about John Drevenok and Monika Olahova, the people we started this video about. So Prosecutors alleged that John was responsible for recruiting the victim at the center of this latest case and arranging his travel to the UK and controlling his documents and taking a vast majority of the money that he earned. Olahova's bank account was used to receive the victim's wages, while he received only a tiny fraction of what he actually earned. And after the trial, both were found guilty of arranging transport for exploitation and holding a person in slavery. And John Drevenik was actually sentenced to 8 years in prison, while Monica received 6.5 years. That sounds extremely low for what they did. I mean, for that kind of exploitation, isn't that kind of a slap on the wrist? I don't know about you guys, but if you're doing this, I'm sorry.
People like that should be
you didn't
executed.
work out in society. Now you have at least a 25-year timeout. That's crazy. I guess modern slavery can give you only 6 years in prison in the UK. Regardless, that's how apparently for many years people could go.
If it was like a white dude and his brother, like they would have gotten like life in prison. Like, I guarantee you it. Like, the fact of the matter is they enslaved like 20 plus people. I think it was like, those numbers might be wrong, but they make it seem like it was a good handful of fucking people. And they ran this operation for years. They ruined these people's lives for years. Like, 6 years is nothing, dude. Like, these people should have life in prison or like executed. I mean, like, honestly, to me, it's the same thing. Like, if you've been told you're going to be put in a cage for the rest of your life because of your behavior, like, you might as well just be taken out. Like, there's no reason to have taxpayer burden for that type of shit. If they're not going to contribute to society for the rest of their life, if they're going to be in a box for the rest of their life, they might as well just have a short rest of their life.
Go to a McDonald's in the UK and accidentally be funding slavery.
Fucking
Imagine you're just
bro.
ordering your food and everyone inside of the McDonald's making your food is trafficked. That would be crazy. It is crazy. And apparently it happened.
Okay, but does it taste better?
So that was the story of how all that happened. A little bit of a different video. I just wanted to talk about it.
Come on,
I thought
brother.
The story was crazy. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
That's crazy, man. What a wild story.
18 months ago, a libtard chick went viral for flashing Charlie Kirk at his open mic events on campus. She got completely wrecked, by the way.
For debating college kids,
Probably remember this.
who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself. Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
I miss Charlie, man. And we were really close with Charlie and his team, and I got contacted actually.
I do, man. I miss Charlie. He's the only reason I'm here.
To YouTube based on the woman flashing Charlie. And you can see here later on in the clip, she actually pulls her shirt down on purpose, and she knows exactly what she's doing, and she's trying to get his channel taken down because a lot of these were live streamed, and there's very strict rules against nudity on these channels. You can get your entire channel taken down or demonetized, so on, even if you unintentionally broadcast these kind of things. And so she was trying to destroy Charlie's career. Leftists would continue to try and destroy Charlie's career, ultimately murdering him in cold blood. But somebody who has absolutely, well, had her better days.
X noise.
Was
Facts.
a woman who now serves as a cautionary tale.
Damn,
for the
dude.
feminist
She,
longhouse and leftism.
Damn.
A woman who went viral for being like, I don't know, a lib 5.
That's crazy, because like I'm not even gonna front like Benny here. Like, she's gorgeous. She's a pretty girl. Like, to be totally fucking real. Like, I'm not gonna say like she's unattractive because of her political views. That's fucking stupid. Like, being objectively fucking truthful, she's gorgeous.
has descended in very short order.
What's up, RPX?
Into
over on Kick.
Something
But that's unfortunate.
Something
That's
totally
horribly unfortunate.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the same girl, same chick who flashed Charlie Kirk. She appeared in a video and said something so disgusting about Charlie. I won't even repeat it here, but you can skip to the video link in the comments and hear it for yourself. Woof. Is this the same person? They've actually gone through and confirmed it's the same person based on tattoos. So you can see tattoos there and there. And so now...
Yikes.
And you can see that she has TikToks making fun of Trump for being fat in 2023.
He's lying to us about his weight, too, you know, to keep us from finding out that he's actually morbidly obese.
That's an AI image of Trump, but sure.
This man is 300 pounds. I don't care what his booking information said. His booking information said that he was...
Well, what do you weigh now? And can you please explain how you've put on 100 pounds?
She just looks horrible, like in the face, like in the eyes. Like she looks tired. She looks like she's on drugs, bro. She looks like her soul is tired. Like, jeez, man.
And her body is deteriorating. Many such cases. This seals it. It's the same person. There's no debating it. Charlie Kirk, obviously, this is exactly what this woman was trying to do. She is attempting to get his channel taken down in like the most whorish and grotesque possible way. Liberal women used to put on weight after a few kids, but now they just take SSRIs and look at you like this. Yikes. Charlie casted a curse on this chick and turned her into a beluga whale. There is something particularly sinister about the casual 30 extra pounds that every young woman seems to be wearing. Classic fat girl committed to her lifestyle. Sometimes she's jolly, sometimes she's vicious. These new fat girls don't know that they're fat. They think that they're all getting away with something. You'll just accept it. Some people are saying that this is simply a...
Probably, man. YouTube's really bad with it.
And what it does to you. The nose ring theory strikes again. Pre-nose ring.
Good morning, Amtrue.
Dumb, somewhat irrational, skinny. With a nose ring, leftist, negative IQ, extremely irrational, land whale. I mean, prove them wrong. She's doing Ozempic backwards. Yikes. National existential emergency brought to you by leftism therapy, SSRIs, the pill, and seed oils. A sound mind in a sound body. The inverse is also true. Leftism and mental health issues go hand in hand in young women. They also embrace it as an identity and list their mental illnesses in their bios. They end up looking like this. Woof. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a year of damage. A year of damage to a woman who, I mean, look at her face and everything. Ugh. The body now reflects the soul. You can see the physical effect leftism has on you in real time. Yeah. After seeing her Instagram, this is 100% her. Nailed it. Oof. More proof that it's her, taken from publicly available Instagram photos. Yo. Yikes. Yeah. In case anyone was wondering, she's a fan of Charlie Kirk. She said, I'm not even going to repeat it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why God made her look like Shrek instead of a supermodel. Ugh. She said horrible things about Charlie in the video. I'm not going to play it. I refuse. Exercise is fascist. That's right. Beautiful message here from Ronald Dahl. If a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show in the face. And when the person has ugly thoughts every single day and week and year, the face gets uglier and uglier, and you can hardly bear to look at it. A person who has good thoughts cannot ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose or a crooked mouth, double chin, bad teeth, but it will always shine. Your face will always shine sunbeams, and you will look lovely.
Sorry, I was wolfing down my breakfast real quick. My wife just came in and gave it to me.
In the time span of going viral in the Charlie video and trying to flash Charlie and destroy his channel. Maybe this is like a good moment to sit back and just accept that leftists thought that they destroyed Charlie, that they thought that they destroyed our movement. they thought that they put us down and that they ended up killing Charlie, but they ended up making him and his message and his clips so much more viral and desirous. They still rack up millions and millions and millions of views per day. What they ended up doing is actually killing themselves. They ended up destroying, murdering themselves, their own souls, the things that actually matter. And because leftism eats away at you, because of the cognitive dissonance, because of the self-loathing, and because of the unsolvable problems, because of a rejection of nature itself and a higher power, you end up killing yourself slowly and then quickly from the inside out. And it's a horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of the psyop anime that I haven't seen yet. I haven't reacted to anything in like a month and a half almost.
Ladies and gentlemen,
like I'm just getting back into streaming after like a month because of the YouTube shit.
Interaction with this young lady. It kind of reminds you what was stolen from us. They thought they killed Charlie, but what they ended up doing is really destroying themselves.
It's like the honest to God truth though, because if I would have never watched that live stream, like if it just didn't happen, if Charlie was still with us today, I definitely wouldn't be here. I would be too focused on my work and on raising my family and all that shit. But seeing Charlie Kirk get assassinated was kind of like the wake up call finally that these people really want us dead. They really want us broke, dead, gone. They want to rape our kids and brainwash them into thinking like they do, and they think it's funny. Like we can't coexist with that shit anymore. We can't. Like it's been like that for a long time, but a lot of people came to realize it when we watched Charlie Kirk get shot in the fucking neck, and then half of the world celebrated.
Do you feel proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself? Hold on.
We are all Charlie Kirk now, man. Like, they weren't exaggerating when they said that they just created a million Charlie Kirks with one bullet.
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a
so
registered
I
voter.
vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Then a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
Actually, when I first saw this ad, I thought it was like an improv comedy thing. It looked so ridiculous that I didn't even think it was real.
She's trying so hard. Like, I remember watching this clip when it first came out. She's trying so hard to save face and, like, get a dunk, get a little bit of a burn. She just makes herself seem, like, obviously malicious and fucking retarded.
Well, no, you could see. Look how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy. That is a 5-alarm fire for Kamala Harris, because she's probably going to lose Pennsylvania.
Look.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking
Well, that's
to
what we're
voters.
doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as? And you said, well, I'm worried about some laws Congress should pass. I have to ask, what laws are you talking about? Can you be specific?
I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, but this is what you do. This is what you do. You take people and you put them under the spotlight, and you.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask you to come up here. You voluntarily came to the front of the line. You didn't have to do that.
You're purposely antagonizing people on campus, asking
How?
people to come up by spreading your weird agenda.
How? What agenda is that? I'm confused, though.
The unbeatable debater, man. It's quite a loss. I feel it every fucking day, man. She did give it away for free, man. She literally walked out in public and flashed her tits to everybody. That's giving it away for free. She probably doesn't really think all that much for herself. She probably does have an OnlyFans, though. I'll probably, I would bet one of my testes on that. She probably does have an OnlyFans. Yeah, every chunky liberal blonde has an OnlyFans because they think they're some type of commodity when they're not. Like, I wouldn't pay for that. Like, plenty of free shit online, brother. Like, why would you pay for that?
On a channel solely focused.
And that goes for anybody, even if they are, like, conventionally attractive. Like, why the fuck would you pay for it? Like, you're dumb financially if you pay for an OnlyFans. Like, there's way too much free shit. Like, if you're opting for the paid route for some fucking reason, you're retarded. Like, just fiscally, financially fucking retarded.
On exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. You know, I think it's becoming very apparent to people that there is a real sickness that is spread throughout liberal society right now. The term I'd use to describe it is deranged apathy. It's this deep ideological conditioning that's affected a large number of people, making them almost completely unable to see evil, even when it stares them directly in the face, or it's hard to say whether they see it or not, but they certainly don't seem to acknowledge it. They have a certain level of apathy to the most heinous and horrific realities currently inflicting the Western world. A group of people that have been so thoroughly brainwashed that when uncomfortable truths emerge, or truths that contradict the narrative that they've internalized and bought into, in this case, diversity being our strength, when they're presented with the reality of their policies, their mind simply rejects it without even a thought, even to the extent where they mock it. Again, I'm calling it deranged apathy, and never has this been more obvious than left-wing reaction that we're seeing in the UK to the latest report, what's being presented as the RAPE Gang Inquiry Report. I gotta show you an absolutely disturbing clip, which I think will very clearly add some context to what I'm talking about here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so for those of you guys who aren't aware, this is Rupert Lowe. He's an MP. He's the leader of the newest political party in the UK called Restore Britain. I'd describe the party as right-wing, nationalist, anti-immigration, pro-preservation of Western, and in this case, United Kingdom values and traditions. Well, basically, Rupert Lowe just released the RAPE Gang Inquiry Report, which highlights the horrific crimes committed by these grooming gangs. Of course, we've been following that scandal, and that's bad enough. We're talking girls that were set on fire, drugged and abused in the most horrific manner. Some of them were even killed, and as we understand it, 87 to 95% of the individuals involved in these roaming gangs were of Pakistani origin, Muslim men, basically roaming the country, targeting young British girls. But what is truly remarkably evil in the report, we're not going to go through every single instance because it's a massive report, hundreds of pages, but I'll put some of the most concerning moments here on screen. You can pause the video and read as you like. Essentially, we have all of these little anecdotes where these girls were showing up to relevant authorities and the system was totally abandoning them because they didn't want to make this a whole ordeal. They didn't want to acknowledge what was happening because they were concerned on how it would reflect on the migrant community. I guess concerned that it would potentially embolden nationalistic forces, which obviously I think at this point
I don't understand this shit at all, man. Like, to be totally fucking honest. Like, if you call yourself a lawman, if you think you're, like, a good man, a good person, and you have all these girls coming up to you saying, like, hey, these people are doing this shit, and you turn a blind eye to it for some, like, political fucking points, you're a piece of shit. You're not a good man. Like, you're not defending the women of your community. You're not protecting your community. You're actively harming it. You're essentially the guardsman that opened the gate for the bandits to come in and ransack your people for a cut of the profit. That's what you are. You're no better than a fucking traitor, a turncoat, a fucking Judas who sells out your community. Like, you're... I can't. Oh man, like if I was in charge, brother, if I was in charge.
Learned, not exactly a genie that you could keep in the bottle. It's almost as if child welfare services were functioning as a pipeline, kind of handing these vulnerable, innocent British girls over to these grown Pakistani men to be trafficked. This is like the Epstein files on frickin' crack. And now the question is, well, what's the leftist reaction? And here is where it all comes full circle, and also the point that I was referencing in the intro, deranged apathy.
The Gang Inquiry report is out. And I'm going to try not to laugh because it feels mean. I haven't read the whole thing. It's 219 pages. It's only just come out a couple of hours ago.
Mockery, attempting to shrug it off as if
Look
it's
at those
no big deal.
fucking
Nothing to be concerned about.
chompers, bro. Holy fuck.
Crazed right-wing conspiracy theorists engaging in anti-immigration propaganda. Absolutely freaking disgusting. And this girl in her little fake forced laugh here, she's not laughing because the content of what is being presented here is funny. No, obviously not. To be honest, I don't even think she read it. She self-admitted she didn't read it. But no, it's almost like a gut instinct, an instant reaction. She's laughing because her brain has been trained to shut down the moment something threatens the narrative that she has been force-fed, the narrative that she is likely force-feeding others. We're talking the most horrific crimes imaginable against the most vulnerable among us. And this went on for years while police and social services looked the other way out of fear of being called racist. And the smug liberals have the nerve to laugh it off like it's some sort of joke. In a way, it feels oddly connected, right?
Yeah,
Just
big tech will heat up your comments, Penny.
Shrugged it off, pretended it wasn't happening, or acted as if
Horrifying to see everybody celebrating,
immediately disregard,
censoring authors' books,
actively
Roald
defending
Dahl.
and minimizing the worst atrocity to happen on British soil, arguably in modern history. And all because the ideology here won't let these people face the truth. It's nothing but mental gymnastics to avoid having to acknowledge the harm that was actually done. You know, here's another moment on Piers Morgan's show that I think speaks to it perfectly.
250,000 of your women are being by Muslim, but it's okay.
Again,
it's fine.
utterly ridiculous.
Go to Birmingham, go to Manchester.
Utterly ridiculous
Go
statement.
to Harvard.
As I've said repeatedly, the vast majority of sexual crime against
Piers Morgan is such a faggot, bro. Holy fuck. Oh man. I think it was Nick Fuentes who blew the lid off of that one. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody already do, but like when he interviewed Nick Fuentes, like dude got absolutely fucking thrashed by Nick Fuentes.
That was Lord Malcolm Pearson in Parliament.
Don Keith, the vast majority of sexual crime against women in my country is committed by white men.
Oh, here we go. You've never heard of per capita?
I have heard of per capita.
It's disproportionately committed by Muslims against white Christian girls because it's a genocide.
We see this all the time.
You never heard of per capita? This shit's so funny, bro. I love per capita.
Oh, we have less than 5% of the population committing a disproportionate amount of this crime and doing so in systemic and organized fashion, targeting young people. Oh, well, you know, the majority of these types of crimes and mostly isolated situations are happening from the native population. Therefore, anything but admitting the reality.
I mean, he does look like the pigeon lady from Home Alone, so.
And if you're not engaging in mental gymnastics and denial and misrepresentation of statistics, well then, of course, just label the person sounding the alarm, the whistleblower, as a wacky, kooky racist.
Why are you doing this? Why are you just trying to talk about Pakistani grooming gangs when there are 4 times, 8 times, and 10 times as many white grooming gang suspects?
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslims working class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is an appalling issue with grooming when it hits any community and any age. We only ever hear you talk about Pakistani perpetrators.
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
I am concentrating on it because it's a blot on our national history.
Just disregard the most evil atrocities and do so for petty political partisan reasons. Why engage in a world of reality when you could basically scoff at with your elitist snarky tone, brush the whole report off as something only a bunch of racist right-wingers would believe because they're racist and uneducated? We see this phenomenon all the time. I have a perfect clip, actually. This is a little bit of a different context of conversation, but it's still the same arrogant, smug BS that they apply to all kinds of issues, especially relating to immigration, or any criticisms and critiques of immigration policy and its effects.
Is that the idea of blaming our housing crisis on immigration is absolutely
wild to me, actually.
That says more about you because we've got an extra 10, 20 million people come in the country. Do you think an extra 10 million people is going to have an effect on housing?
Do you think that if we lock down our borders, we're going to solve the housing crisis? Is that going to solve it?
The thing is, the more people you have in a country, the more houses you're going to need. I know it might sound...
He's really good at explaining things like this, isn't he? I'll make sure. Yeah. Using immigration on the issue of housing, I think is absolutely...
Are you saying it has no impact on housing?
I think Andy wanted to come in.
Do
you want to just answer that question, Rob? Do you think it has
Does immigration have an effect on housing?
Whoever lives in this country has an impact on housing, of course.
All right.
The numbers of people in a country, that's not necessarily to do with immigration.
They don't even try to debate. No, just disregard everything that's being said, laugh in their faces, snark
It's
at your
scary, bro.
opponent, talk down on people who are...
Like the second people start making that face, you know it's fake and disingenuous. Like they're not real people. They don't have real opinions. They're just fucking weird propagandizers. Like at this point, like they're just simply there to be a mouthpiece to they're a glorified speaker to telegraph a narrative. That's all they are. Like they're not actual politicians. They don't have any actual knowledge or thoughts in their head. They're just weird ass fucking people, bro.
Right, and just play the optics game by labeling your opponent as some racist idiot who isn't even worth listening.
I think there's a certain amount of evil that separates you from humanity, right? Like when you devote your life to doing the wrong thing, like willingly, knowledgeably, knowingly, I think that separates you from being human. I think when you devote your life to subverting what humanity is and trying to control humanity and destroy humanity, you're no longer human.
It's the same pathetic move every single time. These are not people who are interested in the truth. These are not people who are interested in what is right and what is good, despite the fact that they present themselves as such. These are people who put political interest and power above all else. It's the same mode of thinking that has the Democrats supporting a literal Nazi tattoo sex pest in Maine, Graham Plattner. Always with the big talk and lecturing on ethical issues, but when push comes to frickin' shove, when their political interest is put in jeopardy, when they're forced to actually acknowledge that their policies have led to negative outcomes, in this case horrifically negative outcomes, they're no-shows. All of a sudden, it's something to scoff at and disregard. These people are so ideologically captured, it's almost as if they've been lobotomized. To disregard such evil, such damage caused, such pain and misery that's been inflicted, in this case,
that message got 8. If I can catch it, I'll post
your
it.
Policy and your activism, your dogma, to brush it off, to laugh in those victims' faces, well, it fills me with disgust, and obviously it paints a clear picture. These people present themselves as these morally impeachable individuals, pillars of virtue, but they are very clearly anything but. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
It's honestly like a serious fucking issue, man. If you sit there and just like blow off like this whole like epidemic of like rapes and groomings and like the fact that it's like almost like in an organized fashion, that's just a bad look on your part, man. Like, why would you defend that? Why? Like, it makes no sense to me. It just it gives more credence to the notion that there's just like a worldwide like pedophilia trafficking network than ever before. Like, to be honest, like, you thought the Epstein shit was bad? Just wait until you realize that it's all over the place in every single industry.
Guys, welcome to the liberal.
Epstein was just one of them. P. Diddy was just fucking one of them. Like, just wait. Just you fucking wait.
Live on a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. My friends, I just stumbled upon something truly shocking, and I think the way that I would describe it is this is the biggest threat that we face right now. You know, I know you hear the rhetoric of the left hating America. It's almost become mundane at this point. It's been repeated so many times that I guess many people just view it as a talking point. But my friends, this goes well beyond political rhetoric. Again, to repeat myself, this is the biggest threat that we face right now, a threat from within, and we are not pushing back nearly hard enough. You know, I don't think
fuck that man Feeble Mind, bro. How could he do this, man? How could he chain his foid to a dishwasher and fucking force her to like live the traditional lifestyle that she requested? Like how dare Feeble Mind?
Most people realize what's actually happening. We are being divided from within by foreign subversive forces, what Yuri Bezmenov described as a demoralization campaign.
Demoralization, it takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see.
And while many people chalk this up as a Soviet-era conspiracy theory, well, I would say be very
tired too, boss.
So.
I'm tired
if you
too.
Pay attention to what's happening on the ground, if you pay attention to what's happening in American institutions, especially academic institutions, this is happening. This is real. Foreign subversive forces are clearly attempting to demoralize our population, to build an anti-American movement from inside the nation. We're talking ideological warfare. You don't need to invade us with tanks when you could essentially turn a country's own people, and especially their youth, against the
Sam True and those people are wrong. They're savages. and they shouldn't be heeded or respected.
For everyone. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so just take a look at this.
What about this idea? Are you proud to be an American? Extremely or very proud to be an American? Again, look at this divide, a growing divide on this question. Back in January 2001, 90% of Republicans, 85% of Democrats. This was after a very contentious 2000 election, keep in mind, right, with George W. Bush coming into the White House. You come over to this side of the screen in 2026, look at this. Again, the Democratic percentage absolutely plummets to just 29% of Democrats say they're extremely or very proud to be an American. That Republican percentage, the exact same, 90 and 90. The Democratic percentage, what is that? That's basically a third of the level that it was just 25 years ago.
I think you're right.
It's crazy that we actually respect the opinion of people who claim to hate America. Like, why would we ever elect people like that in the power? Like, I don't understand. The math don't math.
Point out, this was a time when Democrats might have been feeling badly about the course of the country. Still, 85% said they were proud to be American. Something's changed.
Something has absolutely changed, despite the fact a contentious time then, a contentious time now, and yet Democrats, that extremely very pride number has absolutely plummeted.
When only 29% of Democrats say that they're proud to be American, that should be major cause for concern. It shouldn't just be a headline, a little polling video or headline that surfaces online and then basically dissipates to nothing. This is a serious national problem.
RPX, is that why they hate voter ID? Is that why they hate fair elections? Is because they're all fraudulent and they use fraudulent voters and fake votes to shore up their numbers so it looks like they have a majority and then they win elections? Is that what's going on, RPX?
And something is very clearly deeply wrong when large parts of the population are being conditioned to resent the very country that has given them everything. And to see that astonishing drop going from 85% proud to now almost trending towards 0, you ask yourself, how could they come to hate the country so quickly, especially the greatest country on earth? To hate the greatest country on earth this much? And when you ask yourself that question, that's of course when your brain starts,
Dude, if we're united over hatred, can't we all unite over our hatred of fucking, like, pedophiles and child trafficking? Can't we unite over that and destroy all of that shit? Like, I feel like that's a pretty good cause to crusade over.
Facing off like one of those movie flashback moments. All of a sudden you're seeing it all the last 10 years, all the moments culminating into one visual montage in your brain, and then it clicks. It's very obvious what's happening. Left-wing activist organizations, left-wing academia, left-wing media has been totally co-opted. It's been commandeered by foreign subversive forces who are clearly taking advantage of
I don't like Europeans or soccer, so like or sports like in general. Like I don't participate in any of that shit.
Suggesting that, well, a good chunk, in some cases a majority of people who identify as extremely left-wing, and this is especially true within the female demographic, appear to be suffering through some sort of mental illness. Statistics consistently show that Democrats have significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues compared to the general population. That's the baseline fact of the environment on the left, and very clearly subversive anti-American actors are taking advantage of
Welcome
that.
back.
And this is especially
Welcome
true within
back.
the world of academia. America. They're coming in, they're rewriting history and distorting the reality of the nation. You know, it's one thing to criticize a nation. No nation is perfect. America clearly represents the greatest social experiment that mankind has currently put together, but it's not to say that there aren't any warts. Obviously there are, and it'd be one thing.
That's true. That's true. I am really hard to trust, but, you know, it's really apparent when somebody has my worst interest at heart. So, yeah, I can see what you're saying, Feeble.
If the conversation was steering towards, you know, progress, kind of
Cheat the
fixing
kick,
the marginal
Yanuka.
issues, but no, what is being taught is a complete inversion of the truth, an active rewriting of the history to basically reframe America's founding, America's history as something that is evil and irredeemable. That's not how you progress or fix a country. That's how
Dylan,
you
watching some
basically
liberal
collapse
hive
a
mind.
freaking empire. And that is exactly what these kids are being taught. Instead of teaching the gullible masses that the country was built on a revolution of ideas, these foundational new principles at the time of individual liberty and self-government, the radical belief that your rights come from God and not the state, not from a king, instead of teaching the importance
Got 8-8 Velasco. I can't even pull it.
These foundational beliefs are what led to everything good that transpired. They pushed this 1619 style narrative that America was founded on slavery and racism and human
At this point,
suffering,
Feeble, I'm
which, look, not
sabotaging
saying
myself, brother.
didn't happen and weren't, you know, part of America's founding. Of course they were, but this deliberately downplays the fact that the founding fathers created a system that eventually led to the abolition of slavery. They created the system that made that possible. The total abolition, the extinction of something that has existed in nearly every society on Earth for thousands of years. They also distort the Civil War, often teaching it as, you know, another expression of American racism. They focus
On
so
point,
much on the
Amtrue,
South
on
and the
point.
Confederate flag, rather than highlighting the fact that this
Yes,
was one of the bloodiest
it is
wars
Friday,
in American history fought to
the best
end
day of the
slavery.
week.
Another narrative we always hear is stolen land as well. What's being taught is this reductive worldview that Western expansion and conflicts with Native American tribes was basically just pure genocide. These black and white narratives, evil white man and innocent victim natives.
And I got BPD. It's so bad that I've just concocted this whole narrative against you, and I'm gonna drop a Google Docie on you tomorrow. It's a good 200 pages long.
Completely ignoring the broader context of tribal warfare, disease, the reality that, well, every inch of land on Earth has changed hands through conquest and war throughout all of human history. There's just this constant focus on the negative, but not just focus on the negative, an amplification and an exaggeration of the negative to sow discord and hatred and division of various different people groups, representing America's past as a permanent stain on world history, instead of a story of sacrifice and progress and the exceptional ideas that led to a good outcome that the rest of the world eventually tried to copy. And when young people are taught this distorted version of history, it becomes hard for them to feel genuine pride in being an American. Most people, as they grow older, you know, they snap out of it and they're able to, you know, let's just say put two and two together and realize that they're living in the greatest nation on Earth. But many people are forever warped. And again, it's the most mentally susceptible. And it's not just happening on a history front. They're also brainwashing kids into thinking
Hey man,
America's economic system.
I don't think I've ever been more prouder to be an American than in this day and age. Like, it's fucking hysterical, man. Like, I don't know if it's like the oppositional defiance in me or what, but when people tell me that I can't be proud of myself and who I am in my country, it just kind of like kicks something in deep inside that makes me want to rage against them. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something like a screw loose or a loose wire or something like that in me. As Muru would say, I got that dog in me.
Is broken and evil. Ooh, late stage capitalism. White American capitalism. In this case, it's another ideological subversion campaign, the communist red threat from within the nation. These people pushing the idea that capitalism is exploitation, that America is some kind of a greedy, heartless...
And national pride is important to one's identity, man. If you're not proud of who you are, where you come from, then like what foundation do you stand on, you know?
That the world has ever seen. It's the place where people who come from nothing, no matter their background, can actually build wealth, start businesses, and live better, not only than their parents did, but better than anyone else across the globe. But instead of teaching kids about economic freedom, the opportunity that exists, they fill their head with all of this nonsense about how the system is rigged, rich people are evil, you need to mobilize against these rich people, engage in class warfare. We're teaching young people to resent success instead of trying to achieve it. Not to mention teaching dependency, that rather than do for yourself, you should put that responsibility into the hands of the state and the central planners. But
Speaking of which, I have got to feed a bald eagle before. It's there's a bird sanctuary down the way from my house I take my daughters to every so often, and they have a disabled bald eagle as like one of their like pride and joy pieces, right? Like everybody comes to see this big ass bald eagle. They're big motherfuckers, by the way, right? And so you could pay like a little bit and give it a fish, and I did. I gave it a fish, and it was cool. Like me and the bird are cool. Like we have a mutual understanding amongst birds. You know what I'm saying? Bald eagles are fucking huge birds, bro.
Again, I mean, talk about distorting reality, distorting and rewriting history. When has that ever worked? And to be hoodwinking the masses into thinking that the grass is greener.
It isn't the last superpower, it's the only superpower. It's always been the only superpower. Even in World War II, we outclassed everybody else. That's why we came out on top during World War II. Like, everybody diminished after World War II, and America thrived. Because we took over world security after that.
On the other side, that's probably the most absurd part of it all, as if America's system is deeply broken and needs to be changed to reflect what we're seeing abroad in other countries. But no nation does it as well as America does. And of course the proof's in the pudding. Who's actually moving to frickin' China and Russia? Nobody. And now to make matters worse, we've got the Hassan Piker phenomenon. That's, I guess, the third subversion campaign. It's one after another, and that's why we're
tired of hearing about this faggot, bro. Holy shit.
Popularity in left-wing circles is all of these third world Islamist distortions of world history and foreign policy. These notions that America's the bad guy in every conflict. This twisting of history and current events that paint the United States as the aggressor, totally ignoring how radical Islam has been the source of real violence, oppression, terrorism for decades. Just as communism is, just as narco-terrorism is in South America. Seeing through this stuff should be obvious. I mean, to fall for these third world narratives, you'd have to be a complete moron. Islam is the biggest threat to our democratic and free society, not America, but for some reason, people are falling for it. They're living in information vacuums. They're going to school. They've got trust in the institutions. And so they're just buying these narratives hook, line, and sinker. And we got to push back against this stuff, folks. It's very clear what's happening, you know? It's the negative element of freedom of speech. I'm not saying that as an argument against freedom of speech, but what I'm saying is you have
saying, man, like Hassan Piker is fucking cooked, dude. Like all those federal subpoenas that he's getting, he's fucked over that Cuba shit. He really is.
Versus forces that are taking advantage of the First Amendment. They know that constitutionally the state's not going to come in and mandate speech and shut down these ideas, and so they're spreading this poison across American institutions.
Why is Israel a superpower, Yanuka? Who pays for all Israel's resources? Who gives Israel a fat bankroll? Who protects Israel? Who does all of Israel's dirty work?
And we're simply turning a blind eye to it. Well, people are allowed their opinions, and you know what? That may be true, but it's time to recognize the risk, to recognize what's going on, and fight like frickin' hell against it. Because once this stuff takes hold, folks, you do not want to see where this path goes. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching.
Not knocking. I'm just saying, like, you know, a lot of people only stand on their own 2 feet because of America. Like a lot of people like to think that, but in reality America fucking does the most for world security.
And I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of things that are surprising in life, you know, things that hit you from the side and you really just didn't expect them. Yeah, this ain't one of those things, I'll tell you that much. No, it's always the same nonsense every time these racial incidents blow up, especially in a case like Carmelo Anthony. You got all these community characters and activists showing up in solidarity. They love spinning the narrative, demanding justice. They love the social media clout that comes with it. Every single time, the most shameless.
I don't know, brother. According to a quick Google search, since its founding in 1948, the United States has provided Israel with over $300 billion in total economic and military assistance, which is crazy. It's a lot.
Grifters try to make themselves front and center, try to latch on to the narrative. They try to portray themselves as such caring, compassionate individuals who are only interested in one thing and one thing alone, and that's seeking justice. But it's very obvious that they don't actually, right? They never have. They don't care about community activism, the black community, or any of that crap. No, they see a viral story, they see a dead kid or a conviction, and it's almost as if they treat it like a business opportunity. The outrage is not authentic, no, rather it's more like a product. They love the clicks that go with it, the donations, the speaking gigs, the merch that they could peddle, of course. Free my brother Mello, and they certainly love the path to political success and name recognition.
Yeah, man, Anthony got off like real fucking easy, dude. Like he murdered somebody in cold blood. Should have had life in prison.
People will write this off as, oh well, Charleston White's just a grifter. It's a nice.
I think it would be funny if like the appeal goes through, but then they're like, you know what? We didn't give you enough time. And then it just extends his sentence without the ability of parole. That shit would be funny as fuck.
Isolated situation, but we know very well it is not. Charleston White is the microcosm of the greater phenomenon that exists, this culture of racial.
Come on, Penny, you're supposed to be the lovable fence sitter. Why are you being treated like a white right-wing extremist, a white nationalist on YouTube? Like, what's going on with you, brother? Like
hustling and grifting. Let me show you guys what's going on. As it appears, Charleston White, who was Carmelo's biggest and most avid defender, talking about donating $75,000 towards his appeal. Well, what's it been, like a week and a half? No, maybe a little bit longer than that. Let's call it 2.
I think it's funny because like his what do you mean fix my mic? I've had the same mic for like months, Muru. But anyway, yeah, like his family immediately abandoned him. Like the second he got the guilty verdict, like his family fucking abandoned him, ran out of the fucking courtroom and started chilling like out front of the courtroom. And then like the day or so after, they started filing paperwork saying that they were all like destitute and had no money. It was so fucked up. I think the thing is like even though they raised all that money, they haven't really been able to touch it yet. And like I remember seeing a thing that GoFundMe or like GiveSendGo, whatever company they were going through, completely revoked the whole fund, which I think is funny. No, my fan's off for right now. It's off.
Weeks, something along those lines, and already it appears as though he's completely turned on Carmelo and his entire family. Nothing screams authenticity like doing a 180 2 weeks after the damn verdict. You guys are gonna get a kick out of this. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So, yep, Charleston White went from Carmelo's biggest and most avid defender to now this.
I'm off the Carmelo Anthony case. I ain't putting no goddamn money toward that boy.
Charleston White is such a fucking jigaboo too, bro. Like, he was found guilty of like I think it was like attempted murder or like actual murder. I forget which, but essentially this dude acts like he murdered somebody because he was found guilty of it. But in reality, he was more or less just like a fucking like accessory. Like his friend pulled the trigger and this guy stood there like a fucking chimp and like fucking ooh-ah-ah'd until his friend pulled the trigger. Like they robbed somebody and then killed somebody, and he acts like he's like some fucking prolific gangster, but he's really just like a fucking crackhead thug. Like he's nothing special. He's just like a usual fucking suspect. Like he's crazy. This dude is like absolutely fucking retarded.
Daddy, you got weak for me. I don't like a weak. Dad ain't willing to die, go to jail for nothing. And on some bills paid. Carmelo, my heart go out to you if you ever see this video one day. I'd rather stand with the Jeff Metcalf than I would with Carmelo's daddy. Weak, dockside and conservative. I ain't standing with no weak black man. I'm off the case. I'm sending the money back. Go get them weak Benjamin Crump here. I'm out.
There you have it, folks. He went from champion of black activism.
All white jury, the judge and the DA are buddies, along with the dad, best friends. That's been our trump card. We've been holding, already knew that. This kid has no violence. Austin, on the other hand, is a violent brute. That's why, man, they coerce them kids. But one thing about kids can't lie to professionals under pressure.
To selling watermelon felon t-shirts basically the next week.
Yeah, make sure y'all get y'all Carmelo Anthony watermelon felon shirts. Again, you can get your watermelon felon Carmelo Anthony guilty murderer shirt.
He went from defending the kid was the face, the poster child of injustice against Mablax's people, to now openly mocking him and even threatening him with prison violence, as well as, of course, attempting to cash in on merch that celebrates the conviction now. And so you see this, and the one thing that comes to mind that seems to be the common denominator here is nothing but pure grift. The moment supporting Carmelo stopped being profitable, at least from his perspective, wasn't exactly on board with the same thing that he was pushing, all of a sudden you gotta do a complete 180 and start milking the other side instead. There's no principle here. It's a shameless grift. And that's really what I've been saying throughout this entire ordeal. Every direction you look, as far as you look, as close as you look, it's nothing but grifters. And that's not to say that they all come in the same shape and size. Of course, not all of them are willing to do a 180 and, let's just say go with the wind or go along with their emotional whims. Carmelo's dad offended me. Okay, so now I'm gonna completely switch up. Now, not everyone is as shameless as Charleston White or as flip-floppy. Some people are committed to the racial grift. 7 days a week, 365, that's for sure. But still, nonetheless, it's a grift now, isn't it? It's always about a performance for profit.
His parents are like the worst fucking grifters in it all, man. Like, it's honestly shameful.
They put George Floyd in a golden casket and we're kneeling in front of it. Oh, the solidarity, the injustice, an absolute absurdity. Of course, the message is that it's because of the moment, it's because of what George Floyd represents, this epidemic of police violence against innocent black people. Of course, not an actual issue, certainly not one that George Floyd represented. But on surface, they'll have you believe that it's authentic, but it's anything but. The whole thing is a spectacle for the same grifting characters to lead the headlines of the day, to be there for the photo. The same game that bigger names have been running for years. Al Sharpton, he shows up at all of these events. Maybe less so these days, as he's probably worth like 100 million frickin' bucks. He's old and retired at this point, but he certainly paved the way. This guy always positioned himself as the voice of all black people. But what has he actually done except enrich himself and just constantly spread lies and mistruths in order to sow racial division? And you could even actually go beyond that. I mean, let's look at the George Floyd event. Let's look at Black Lives Matter as an organization during that time. Just the main organization pulling $90 million during that wave. The total fundraising across Democratic organizations and BLM activist groups was likely in the billions of dollars. But just looking at the original BLM org, they took in $90 million bucks. Then what did the co-founders of that organization do? They bought multi-million-dollar properties in California and Toronto, had lavish family get-togethers and events. Not a single penny for the community, not to mention the $12 million bucks that went to Mark Elias's law firm. Time and time again, these narratives of justice get pushed out into the media by all of these characters only to enrich themselves, to boost their name recognition and career stock. You got all these gullible leftoids time and time again donating because they think they're actually fighting for black lives, for justice, for equality. But time and time again, they fall for the most obvious grift. And actually, I forgot to mention this earlier, but even looking at the Carmelo situation here, it feels even like his own family is grifting. Even Drew Anthony is running a freaking grift. They pulled like $700,000 in funding, and it appears didn't even spend a penny on putting together a quality defense team. In a way, it's almost like Charleston White and Drew Anthony are two sides of the same coin. Both of them fighting over the same scandal to get the same attention.
That's what I'm saying, man. They had all that funding for legal support, and they got Carmelo Anthony a public defender, bro. They bought themselves Escalades and like mansions and shit with the money raised off of their son's apparent plight. And then they never supported him. They never had his back. They just used his issue to raise money for themselves, and then pretended to be upset about his sentence in court when they probably knew from the start that their son just murdered somebody and was going to prison from the very fucking beginning, dude. To me, it's just shameful that our government and our fucking legal system has like treated Carmelo Anthony the way that they have, because I mean, like, we have people like Chud the Builder in prison. Like his crime is saying nigger to a black person like within earshot, and then defending his own life life when said black person chimped out over the silly word. And the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. Like, the dude just chimped out and fucking killed somebody because he didn't like what he was being told. And you know who's the other guy? Jake Lang, who has like been in solitary confinement for like months and was like wrongfully arrested for like kicking over an ice sculpture. And they said he like he committed like a fucking act of like terroristic vandalism or something, and just like came in and scooped him up black bag style and threw him in a hole. Like, our government system is fucked up because those two people, Jake Lang and Chug the Builder, are being held with like $1 million bonds and shit, while Carmelo Anthony was like free to walk after murdering somebody. The guy that killed Irina Zarutska was free to walk after killing somebody. Like, it's just such an obvious, blatant, fucking biased, two-tiered justice system. It's unreal.
Just in different ways. One side milks the gullible leftists, and the other one, in an act of retribution, is now attempting to milk the other side. It's just time and time again what we see as a shameless hustle. Either way, no matter which way the cookie crumbles, what you are looking at usually in these cases is the most shameless of hustles. It's the same pattern every single time. Why work to solve the problems in the community when, well, they're the perfect platform to enrich yourself, the perfect platform to gain political power and political and cultural influence over the left-wing rubes that fall for it. It is so obvious what's going on. It's been going on for decades at this point, and for some reason, people don't seem to snap out of it. They can't seem to put two and two together and realize what's going on, and until that happens, well, this is basically going to be the name of the game. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
From 1997 to 2018, 87% of grooming gang
this is the Crowder Muslim video.
250,000, the number, largely, almost entirely white girl victims, were subjected to, and it's not limited to this, but primarily rape, gang rape, trafficking, torture, pregnancy, forced conversion to Islam. These are the results.
Dude, I remember, I think it was on an episode of Alex Jones, right? Where he was talking about one of the court cases and reading one of the transcripts, and one of these people like tried to legitimately say they did nothing wrong, and this judge, by the way, this based ass judge was like, "Sir, you raped this 9-year-old girl vaginally and anally, and you used a pump to prime her for the other participants. Like, you willingly did this. Like, your DNA is everywhere. Like, why are you lying?" Like, the whole thing was just horrific to fucking listen to and read. But, like, goddamn, these people are doing some of the most heinous, disgusting shit. And they should be exterminated. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Like, if this is happening in your area, in your community, at this point, it's on you to protect your community and the women within. Like, you can't trust the legal system. You can't trust the cops. You can only trust yourself and the fucking caliber that you chamber. That's it.
You can and should expect more of them. Anytime you get enough Islamic migrants in a country that cannot coexist with them. This is what will happen. What are you going to do about it, UK? This is going to be a tough one, but let's get to it. I want to be as clear in setting this up as possible because I know that this is it's a very expansive report, study. I highly recommend you go check it out. We make the references available, as we do every show, 11 a.m. Eastern, when we stream, link in the description. Let me start out with this. 250,000 British girls.
Toward 9 myself, but I think that's just like an American thing.
87% Muslim perpetrators from 1955 to today. Have you ever doubted evil in the world? Is everything nuanced, gray? Or is this one that you can declare evil? And then it comes down to, what do you want to do about it? Now, we'll get to the enablers of evil. For years, people like...
I'm gonna go grab my blicky.
Wanted you to believe that this idea of Pakistani Islamic grooming gangs, it was just a conspiracy theory created by racists, and if you believe it, you too are racist.
From those who do want a big further inquiry, is that actually it was a very specific section of the community, a very specific section of the Muslim community. And it was British Pakistani men who they believe were operating under some warped cultural thing, which they felt entitled them to behave this way.
Well, that's not proven, right? But it's very interesting that you pick a sample and then say, these are the towns we're talking about, they're all brown. Well, why can't we talk about Cornwall or Glasgow or the West Midlands? I'm saying this is a phenomenon that happens nationwide. Why are we defining child sex crimes and grooming gangs by race unless you're a racist or trying to make political hay out of it?
If you could cut rape by more than half with one change in immigration policy, would you do it or would you fear the label of racism? That's why. Also, when they say, well, it hasn't been proven, right? Because people like you block it.
Yeah.
Someone had to go and independently investigate this. And now some people will be pressured to. So let me explain to you the 3 things that we're going to be doing. Really 4. We're going to get to the findings of Rupert Lowe's report, the media blackout, the cover-up therein, and finally, exactly why this is so common in Islamic communities. Not just in the UK, it's not a surprise. Anywhere in the Islamic world and any enclave or ghetto that is majority or almost entirely Islamic. This is what you see.
Everybody knows Nightowl likes to play with the 9mm blicky on stream.
See, consistently across the board. Hint, it goes back to Muhammad, who did this. He did do this. He had sex slaves and condoned it. So first, I know that some of the information here, some things are allegations and some gaps have had to be filled in because those in positions of authority in the UK have refused to do their job. So let me explain to you the methodology. What was done is 2 local authority districts, they were confirmed, right? It was Rotherham and Telford. So they used the data that they had as kind of a sample study. Then they extrapolated that to the national figures, including 149 other districts where grooming gangs were identified. So 250,000 is actually considered a very conservative estimate.
Under any circumstances, should you ever give up your guns, man?
For the sake of argument here, say, okay, anywhere between 175 and 400,000 as far as girls raped from 55 to today. Let's just do that. Let's just say, okay, anywhere from 75% to 95% Pakistani Muslim or Islamic migrant. We're just going to use the numbers that are given as a hard estimates in this report so that you don't try and nickel and dime us on this one. It's a lot, it's significant, it's undeniable. Let's get to the actual content in the report. So from 1997 to 2018, 87% of grooming gang convictions were Muslim. They make up only 6% of the population. Of course, you'd well know that this time period just happens to coincide with the mass migration that we have seen in the UK, and by the way, has been welcomed and orchestrated by those in government, progressives. Now, the grooming gangs, they spanned approximately 40% of all UK local authority districts. So again, this is part of the methodology.
It's all over the country.
250,000, the number, largely, almost entirely white girl victims, were subjected to, and it's not limited to this, but primarily rape, gang rape, trafficking, torture, pregnancy, forced conversion to Islam. This is the part that's very disturbing. Some of the grooming tactics included targeting not just young women, but as young as 8, coercing them with drugs, alcohol, filmed the rapes as a form of blackmail. They, according to the report, operated under an honor and shame-based clan code. The girls were called English pig dogs, white trash, and the groomers justified, we saw this time and time again, according to the report, they justified the rape on religious grounds that the girls were really bad and they were going to rape the badness out of them.
Yeah.
And this is common. This is a common belief. And not all Muslims, not all, but a lot.
Yeah. And these were, so just to be clear, these are not random Muslim men that happened to rape somebody. These are rape gangs.
Penny, have a good day.
Yes. That's very, very critical to this. It was very well organized groups of men doing this in these cities. And so the 2 cities, they were able to confirm all the numbers from the gangs. They looked at other areas that rape gangs like that were operating and extrapolated out, and they feel like that is the low end of the number that they would have.
And
250,000.
So that's the methodology. That's kind of the top line items there in the report. Now let me give you some anecdotal. Now not all of these things can be verified, and we'll get to some more empirical that can be. There are direct accounts from 24 survivors in the report. One of them is a girl named Kate. She was groomed at 12. Allegedly raped by a dog as groomers took bets as to which orifice the dog would use. She was forced to rewatch her own footage. Felicity, groomed at age 8, described punishment rooms where she hung upside down by her feet, which, by the way, we have seen this across the Islamic world. Just look at Hussein and Qusay Hussein. They would do this, pick out girls from grade schools, well known. Whipped, peed on. The men would pour substances on them, laugh. Also witnessed, she alleged, a baby tortured to death in front of its mother. Now, again, you'll say, well, this is just, but this is just salacious. Okay, 250,000. We're talking about a systemic problem. We're talking about one that is avoidable. It is avoidable. Michelle, groomed age 13, allegedly raped by 600 or 700 Muslim men. Now, matter of record would be that she was pregnant 4 times, 2 miscarriages, abortion, 1 surviving child. So I know that some gaps are filled in, that some are allegations, but there's a lot of verifiable information in here too.
Yeah.
They're not just
this is fucking
documents.
disgusting to listen to, man. It's his
that they chose to put into this report.
If I didn't already hate him enough.
Say, hey, that's just salacious. You're just using that because it's clickbait. All right. Hey, anyone want to argue that the media doesn't do that? Tabloid media? I mean, these are people who, how long do they talk about Donald Trump allegedly hiring Russian prostitutes to pee on furniture, right?
Yeah.
So they're not above that. So let's look at the media. 0 reporting from the biggest outlets in the UK. Guardian, Daily Mail, The Sun, Telegraph, Independent, Mirror. 0. BBC did once, because they did a hit piece on the funding of Rupert Lowe's report. Right? They tried to do a hit piece, and by the way, they had to retract and apologize because he was cleared. So when they thought they could do a hit job on the guy reporting on the 250,000 at least girls raped, they ran it, and then they had to retract it. No actual coverage of the acts of evil.
Yeah, so they thought it was important enough to cover, but not the actual stuff that he found out.
Yep.
And why would you be going after a person who was just trying to research what was actually happening?
Right.
That's all he was raising money for at the time, and that's what they tried to hit him for. They gave him, he says, they gave him 10 minutes to respond before publishing the story. Parliament came out and said, no, you guys don't know what you're talking about. He didn't break any laws. They had to retract the story.
All right, Penny, I see you. I'll give it a watch.
Maybe research can fact check me. The Independent that we listed there also released, I think, a hit piece about Rupert Lowe, but not this story.
Well, we know how this goes because we've experienced this on a much smaller level. Like, just use the Nashville Manifesto as an example. Right? You were told.
As if the government, the police, and the media are trying to cover it up.
It seemed random. Then when we got those pages to her journals, the manifesto, immediately, it's not true.
Yeah.
This is faked. And they said, well, it is true, but the parents don't want to see this, and then they threatened to investigate us, sue us. By the way, we're still waiting on that. Same thing happened with the bullet engravings, Charlie Kirk. Hit piece, New York Times, unconfirmed until it actually came out that it was confirmed. So what they do is they lie, they deny, they cover it. They go, oh, there's no proof. Yeah, because you block the actual. The government should be investigating this. They were supposed, and they didn't. They certainly haven't done it adequately. And we'll get to some more clips there because we've interviewed some people vying for positions in government in the UK. And I hope that you remember them by name. Now we get to the cover-up, the media blackout. That's what enables, for example, the police to systematically, check the references, ignore the instances of rape. In other words, these girls came forward, they disclosed it.
Yeah.
So the same people who want to tell you that 1 in 4 women are raped, but most of it goes completely unreported and they make up a number, they want to ignore this here where young girls tried to come forward and report the rape. And
brushed off.
Or the police in some cases vilified, criminalized the victims as prostitutes. They destroyed evidence, allegedly. In many cases, documented, returned the girls to their abusers, actively shielded the perpetrators. Why? To avoid that awful accusation of racism.
Yeah. It even gets worse. One mother, allegedly, in this report, called police to talk about her daughter being trafficked and said it was Asian men. And the police said, don't say it's Asian men because that's racist. You can't say it like that. And here's the other part that people are like, did this actually happen? At least she's being exposed to another culture. This is in the report from a mom who called the police.
Yep. Please go read this report and support it. Distribute it as best you can. Social care, social services, they, according to the report, placed vulnerable children in homes that basically functioned as trafficking hubs. They dismissed a lot of the, again, disclosures of rape as lifestyle choices. Where are all the feminists talking about the victim culture here, right? Victim blaming. They talked to victims about contraception instead of investigate the abusers, allegedly destroyed records, retaliated against whistleblowers. Let me give you some examples. Anna was groomed at age 13, abused by dozens of men. By age 15,
it's crazy that the police would go after these fucking people.
Described her situation as domestic slavery, and a social worker.
You get people coming to you with these types of accusations, and you vilify the people accusing. That's, yeah, they're just. They're covering it up at this point. The government, the police, the media, they're all just covering it up. They're all in on it. They're all covering it up because in reality, they're all connected to like this big elitist fucking pedophile trafficking ring that's been spoken about a lot, from like Pizzagate to Epstein to fucking Diddy. It's all connected. They're all part of the same fucking worldwide criminal organization, and like it's slowly being discovered. But, you know, people have known this shit for fucking decades, and now it's just now coming to light. It's fucking insane to watch.
Attended the wedding.
Jeez.
NHS, here are the things that are documented. So you have to fill in some gaps. But a lot of it is provable, and a lot of it is included. Here are some examples. Records of child abuse. In other words, you can't know that they referred to you as a pig dog, or that they bet on a dog, which orifice the dog would use, or what words they say. But you can, in a documented, verifiable way, observe genital injuries, sexually transmitted infections. These were documented. Rape-related pregnancies, suicide attempts. So these things were observed, and NHS, in many cases, would then discharge those same children back to their abusers the same night. Documented. Another example, Chloe was groomed at age 10. Groomer forced a whiskey bottle into her vagina where it shattered. She was treated, discharged, no questions asked about the injuries. That's something documented. That's something you can prove. Whiskey bottle in vagina, young girl, shattered, treat the injuries, no follow-ups? Well, we know why. This brings us to, you would know them as like the Democrats, the left, the Labor Party.
Mm-hmm.
They blocked conservative attempts to launch a national inquiry, meaning an investigation. This was in January 2025. I remember
it wasn't a close vote.
Pierce Morgan talking about Tommy Robinson, right? I've done this, but you go, you know, it's not a big thing. No, it is. And now it's undeniable. What are you going to do with it?
Straight up evil, and it should be raged against at all costs.
Starmer kind of changed his mind after there was an audit, and he announced that there would be a national inquiry. But we really haven't seen the results. It was launched, but it obviously avoids glaringly some of these huge issues.
Well, hold on. He said in June there was going to be one. In April of 2026, almost a year later, if you had instances of rape being alleged, rape gangs roaming your country, and you said no in January 25, yes in June of 25, and then it took almost a year, do you think maybe there'd be more cases piling up in those, 10-ish months?
Well, you got to give them time to cover their tracks.
Yeah.
How hard is it to pick up the phone, ring, start an investigation? That should take a day to at least start the process.
Yeah, to investigate corruption within the government, within the police force. You know what's really easy? Saying that the police are racist. That's really easy. Really easy to make a claim.
Oh, the Henry Novak is.
Yeah.
Or any other citizen in Britain right now.
Really difficult to actually conduct an investigation and ask hard questions and genuinely seek answers. So according to Rupert Lowe, there is no mandate to examine the national scale of the problem, meaning the inquiry from being directed by Keir Starmer, the overwhelming ethnic and religious profile of the perpetrators, so that's not included, the honor and shame-based cultural drivers, or the role of political correctness and electoral cynicism in allowing the abuse to flourish for decades. Victims and survivors are notionally placed at the center, yet the terms of reference carefully avoid the very questions that the public and the survivors have demanded be answered for decades.
Yeah.
So we ask, well, why would Keir Starmer deliberately, in conducting an investigation, avoid ethnicity, avoid religion, avoid the demographics, avoid the patterns? If you're running an investigation, it's to prevent someone else from being subjected to the same evil crimes. That's the reason for an inquiry. But if you don't want the answers, or you forbid the answers from coming back that could be used in a way to prevent the crimes, well, it's an exercise in futility. According to the report, this is, I believe this comes from Lowe, wrote, while Sir Keir Starmer, still being respectful, was the director of public prosecutions, it has been reported that 13,000 suspected rape gang members and pedophiles were let off with warning letters.
Literally warning letters.
Tisk, tisk.
Crazy.
Don't do that again.
And then this brings us to someone who wants to, I think, run for prime minister.
Yeah, maybe at some point.
He's a mayor of Manchester.
That's the thing, is why people are afraid of this all getting out into the open and getting legal and like accountability being sought after, is because what accountability entails for this is just a massive amount of executions. Like there's no getting around that. The fact is a lot of these people are guilty of like heinous crimes against humanity. Whether it be like the politicians that enable this shit, the cops that cover it up, the people actually involved in the heinous acts. Like, a lot of these people just deserve no less than a fucking 9mm to the back of the head. Like, YouTube strike me fucking down if I'm saying anything wrong, but like, I think a lot of these people involved, politicians, cops, perpetrators, you know, the everybody involved in it, they need to be executed. Like, unfortunately, accountability looks like mass executions for these people. Like, there's no beating around the bush. Like, you can't coexist, you can't rehabilitate that, you can't just let it off. Like, it's got to be dealt with finitely. Like, just instantaneously. Finally, like
Manchester, Andy Burnham. We have an interview from Lane, the hero of Japan, actually catching up with him in South by Southwest, and it's very illuminating. You see where their priorities lie. But in the report, it says, nor has Burnham exercised his powers as police and crime commissioner, a position he automatically holds as an extension of his mayoralty, to prosecute any of the officers found to have failed the victims of the predatory gangs.
That's not an accusation. They've been found to have done this. He hasn't prosecuted any of the officers that he has evidence against.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just somebody made some story up. There's evidence, and he's doing zero with it.
Unless, so what's more reasonable? There's a political motivation. It's inconvenient politically, and they're not really conducting this investigation, or there is not a single officer who's been involved with this. Comment, what do you think is more reasonable? And here is actually, the video in question. Lane, our producer, Lane the Brain, caught up with Burnham on this issue last year at South by Southwest, and you can see the wheels start turning, and Burnham go, oh no, wait, well, we don't want to go into this territory.
When I came in as mayor, I said we're gonna have a review. We're gonna have an inquiry into how this was handled in the past, and was it handled in the wrong way because of fear about upsetting communities? Because that can never be the case when it comes to crime and sexual exploitation. You can't let any concerns about community relations stop you investigating and prosecuting and convicting criminals.
What a lot of Europeans I've talked to would say, though, is we're importing that willingly. We know that this is a culture that doesn't necessarily reflect our values, and we're trying to integrate that.
I don't know personally where you're going with that. Because
I just want to know, are these people crazy, or like what's driving this narrative?
I think there's a lot of Islamophobia out there. The Muslim community has lived in Greater Manchester for decades, and we do it peacefully. There's, you know.
I don't think there's a such thing as Islamophobia. I think people are just wary of others that want to do them harm because of their religious doctrine.
All communities have, you know, criminals and people who divide us. You know, we are, I would say, a pretty good model of people living side by side with each other, and I don't accept the premise that one community is a problem and all the others are not. You know, I think that's a narrative that I'm not.
No, I don't know. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
So, hey, does this change it? We're an example of living side by side and peacefully. 250,000 rapes. 87%.
Sometimes examples are cautionary tales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does it change it? Well, okay, so if they are the example of how Islam, just people say the Islamicization, just Islam, Western world, would we now accept, oh, they're incompatible because you're not living side by side peacefully. And by the way, it's only going one way. It's not going the other way. It's not native-born people in the UK, white folks, disproportionately raping young Muslim girls. It's not happening. So does this change that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Evans. She's gone.
Oh, God! Why? Why did this happen? What could I have done? I should have done something. I could have stopped this.
Sorry, son. There's nothing you could have done. There's nothing any of us could have done. Sometimes we just have to accept that some things are out of our control. But some things are in your control, like managing your crypto.
What?
Yeah, Rumble Wallet makes it super easy. You're in control of your crypto. It only belongs to you.
Are you serious right now?
Dead serious.
No. Seriously, download the Rumble wallet and step away.
Justified crash out
for good. Go to wallet.rumble.com today, and you can also support your favorite creators. Step away from big banks. Rumble Wallet. Also, by the way, conservatives failed. The Conservative Party in the UK failed their people as well. They failed to impose mandatory ethnicity recording or launch a full investigation while they were in government. They, of course, allowed the problem to continue. They dismissed the grooming gangs as a small-scale problem because it's still a third rail. They want to be careful. They don't want to be seen as racist. And here's the thing. I will tell you this. Not only do I believe these numbers, because there's a lot of observable data, facts here, and I understand some gaps have to be filled in. They have to be filled in because those in charge, those who have been tasked with the investigation, refuse to do it. Not only do I believe that these numbers are conservative, I think you'd have to be insane to believe otherwise. I believe it is inevitable and will be in any Western country, civilization, if you mass import Islam. This will be the result. It always has been. To one degree or another. Let me make the case as to why.
It's almost like verifiable cause and effect at this point. Like, you know, you have a whole bunch of Muslims in one area and then, you know, certain shit happens. Same thing with another ethnicity. You know, you have a lot of them in one area and certain shit happens. It's just kind of, you can't avoid it. It's, you know, truth speaks itself. The memes make themselves.
Now, not all. You always have to, of course, not all. But far too many, and by far too many, I mean a lot, both relatively and absolutely. Far too many Muslims believe that raping non-Muslim women is acceptable. And I know you're thinking ISIS, Boko Haram, Hamas, right? All these places, because they'll hand it out like in their promotional material. Hey, you get to rape all the non-Muslim women you want. But this is also something that we've seen in practice in pretty much every large-scale Islamic community in Europe. For example, we saw it in Cologne. You see it in Cologne, Germany. That was a New Year's event. You've seen it in Sweden.
They hand out flyers saying not to rape.
Not to rape. Yeah. Now, let me explain to you why that's in the Quran. Now, some people have dismissed it and said, well, actually, we don't fully believe. And yeah, there are a lot of Muslims who dismiss it. Here's what you can't dismiss. Muhammad did it. Muhammad raped many enslaved concubines during conquest. Starting to get why that's different from Jesus Christ?
All Jesus did was wash a hooker's feet.
Yep. Jesus served. Muhammad conquered. And when I say this to Muslims who will be mad, I mean Jesus Christ, the Son of God, God in the flesh, the divine Jesus Christ, not serial pedophile, rapist, false prophet Muhammad. Why do I say so? Well, because I like my prophets not rapey. I'll give you a couple of names.
The truth is a bitch.
That are outlined and agreed upon historically. It's not in dispute. Rihanna bint Said is one. Maria the Coptic Christian. There's Sophia bint Huai. I don't know how to pronounce the last one, but a lot of concubines. A lot of enslaved women. You know, like Conan the Barbarian. Mm-hmm. Hear the lamentations of the women. That was Muhammad, only he actually did it. To be fair, he was a gentleman where he would wait until, they might be 9 years old. Now, to be clear, I'm going to read you some verses here from the Quran, and you need to understand the context is the right hand possessions has been historically.
Yeah, Muhammad was a piece of shit. Anybody who follows the religion that man wrote, he didn't even write it anyway because he was fucking illiterate. But anybody who thinks like that's a role model, that's a way to be, you can't trust that.
You would refer to them as sex slaves because that's what they are today. So Quran 4:24, and also prohibited to you are all married women except those your right hands possess. So you can rape the ones you take in war. It's a perk. Quran 33:50, this was specifically addressed to the Prophet, permits relations with those whom thy right hand possesses out of the prisoners of war whom Allah has assigned to thee. Meaning the ladies, if you kill all the husbands through conquest, and now they're your sex toys. Quran 23, 5-6, and then there's 70, 29 through 30, where you see believers praise for guarding their chastity, except from their wives or those their right hands possess. And that's an important one because people go, well, that just means like your wife. And they'll try and whitewash it. Say, like Christians believe your body is not your own. As a husband, it's your wife's. And as a wife, it's your... No, but this says, except from their wives or those their right hands possess, in the context of enslavement, conquest, concubines. It's really this simple. Western civilization emulating, to the best of their ability, Jesus Christ. Christian values. But let's just go Jesus Christ. Okay? That's the standard bearer. Islam, Muhammad. How could you expect anything else? How could you expect anything other than this interview that was circulating online from 2011, the father of a convicted rapist, child sex offender? Who do you think he blamed when interviewed? Do you think there was remorse? No, he blamed the system and the 13-year-old victim on camera.
Rizwan Razak was found guilty of raping a 16-year-old. His younger brother, Umar, was found guilty of sexual activity with a child. Their father has never spoken to the media before, but he has agreed to talk to me because while he accepts his sons were guilty, he also feels let down by police and social services.
I'm angry with the girls involved. I'm angry with my lads involved. I'm certainly angry with the system that's failed these girls and these men. If the system were right, if social services looked after these girls properly, if police did their job properly, these girls wouldn't have been there knocking about 11 o'clock at night, and these lads wouldn't have gotten involved with them. Rizwan believed that she was older than 16.
She's baffled.
And all the evidence suggests that she looked older than 16. And obviously, she wasn't...
doesn't even believe himself. Did you see that?
So you don't see it as rape.
Did you see that, like, momentary, like, fucking... Man, what am I saying? Like, dude, it's so fucking crazy. They don't even believe it themselves.
I don't.
And she's 13. She's 13 years old.
Watch.
Well, yes, obviously, that's some responsibility lies for it. But as far as grooming is concerned, I think that the judge has gone over the board, the jury has gone over the board, the police has gone over the board, just because these lads were Asian.
So I want you to take that into context. Yes, it's anecdotal. I'm giving that to you as a follow-up to the empirical. He's had years to think about it. He's sitting down in an interview, and even after thoughtfully processing it, she says, well, the girls are 13. His response is still clearly a given. So, well, yeah, so obviously some responsibility lies with her. The exact opposite of what you would expect from any member of a civilized society, right? The correct response is, that's what makes this so evil. She was only 13. But why would you expect that response from someone who follows a prophet who married a 6-year-old, to be fair, only fucked her when she was 9? Here's the other thing. When those on the Marxist right, and I don't want to get into the whole Israel thing because there are legitimate criticisms, and we've talked about it, and AIPAC can go screw themselves with a wire brush, but when those on the right say, of course, this is just what neocons want, to vilify Islam, whereas we really share a whole lot more in common. You now know those people are being dishonest. You cannot have an issue with immigration and say we need to secure our borders and say, yeah, but we don't really have a problem with Islamic immigration. That's not the boogeyman. It is. It's worse than the boogeyman. And you are enabling it. You want me to ignore the data. You want me to ignore every single Islamic country, both today and historically. And you want me to turn a blind eye to Muhammad's life teachings himself. I guess if I ignore all of that, come on, it's just propaganda from the Jews to be concerned with Islam. Or Islam, as an ideology, religion, is the single greatest evil that has been thrust upon the world since the crucifixion of Christ.
I think it's a genuine issue, to be totally fucking honest. Like, I really think it is. Like, I've said this before, any religion that literally specifies that, like, other people that aren't part of your religion are kind of worse than fucking cattle and are to be raped and murdered and misled and used as, like, a means to the ends. Like, I don't know what else to I don't know what else to say about it, man. Like, it's just, it can't have it. It can't coexist with people who want to delete you just for existing outside of their paradigm. It's fucking wild. Like, I don't understand why we think we can coexist with that. Like, why we promote it, why we don't all think it's a problem. I remember 10 years ago, maybe even, like, 15, 20 years ago, everybody thought Islam and fucking radical fucking extremism like that was a problem. Like, we fought, like, a 30-year-long war over that. Like, does everybody forget? It's insanity.
Deliberately co-opted what I believe is the truth, and the only truth, God, Jesus Christ, right? Good guy God. That's what I refer to him. Taken it and co-opted and said, yeah, we're just like that, but actually there's more to the story. And what you should really do, here are the results. And we have people who claim to be America first, MAGA, saying, you're just buying the propaganda. These people make the best neighbors. How in the hell are you going to sell that to folks? This is the direct result. Two primary bad actors: Islam itself and leftists in the West. And I would add to that the Marxists on the right now, trying to tell you that there's no threat here. These are the results. You can and should expect more of them anytime you get enough Islamic migrants in a country that cannot coexist with them. This is what will happen. What are you going to do about it, UK? This is a moment in history now. The results are in. It's incompatible. So it's not tolerance. One culture will win out eventually. You've got decisions to make. Do you want to deal with it now through immigration policy? Do you want to deal with it now through the justice system and stop it? Or do you want to deal with it later? We know how that goes historically. Conquest, then retaliation like the Crusades. That's where this goes unless you deal with it in the modern civilized way, but it requires that you deal with it. You guys let me know. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the live daily show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.
Well, that's that. Muslims bad, you know. That's the skinny of that one. You know, actually, fuck it. We ball. Like HLC. Shit's funny.
Okay, Iran. So, what do you say we start talking about this deal?
Okay, first and foremost, I want all sanctions against me lifted.
Okay, done. Are you done with nukes?
Hold on, we will get to that. Then I would like freeing up of all of my assets. It should be around $100 billion of things that have been sanctioned and taken and frozen by the U.S.
All right, you got it. So how about the nukes?
I need a little bit more. How about you lift the blockade? You get other countries in the area to agree to at least a $300 billion investment. And I want to be able to trade oil.
You can probably consider it done. So about those nukes.
Whoa, wait, whoa. Why are we agreeing to any of this?
First time listening to politicians try and make a war deal, huh? Yeah, you can usually tell it's them by the severe pounding sensation all service members feel in their asshole.
Okay, can't believe this guy's serious. See how much more we can get. No hostilities in Lebanon anymore from Israel, and I want you to respect my sovereignty and never enter my country again. No. This is where it's got to change. We can't make promises on other people's peace. Like that's ridiculous, right, Buff?
Bite the pillow. Politicians notoriously go in dry. Yeah, I suppose we can do all of that too. But no nukes, right?
Is there anything else we want? Literally giving us whatever we want. No, Mahmoud, you cannot get a magic carpet. I'm not sure if they even have those. Fine. We will dilute our enriched uranium under the supervision of the IAEA and will never pursue a nuclear weapon. I can't fucking believe this is happening.
Done. Take that, Obama. Out of the deal.
So this whole thing was just a colossal waste of time, money, and lives. Look, okay, guys. I try not to get too preachy. This isn't a partisan thing. This isn't for or against a certain politician. This is... Look, if you were a service member in the Middle East, from any time from the Beirut bombing all the way up until today, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah, hell, even for a little time, ISIS and the Taliban, Iran has supported every single one of them. We finally had an opportunity to deal with the problem at its source.
What's up, noise?
And yet again, somebody got weak in the fucking knees. And I'm not like berating anyone. I don't know what the deal was before. I love to hope that this is a 5D chess move that I'm just not privy to right now. But more than anything, I'm just hurt. I feel like everything we worked our asses off for meant nothing. And I feel like the service members over there who are towing the line right now just got slapped in the face, and it's painful. Again, I would love to be wrong. I want to eat these words, but it's kind of shitty.
Uncle Sam, I'm cautiously optimistic. Notoriously, that part of the world can't follow any fucking treaty, any agreement, any memorandum of understanding, so they're gonna break that shit. Just like before, they promised not to pursue a nuclear weapon. What did they do? Pursued a fucking nuclear weapon. They'll break the truce, we'll fuck them up, but I have a better plan. Instead of playing this dog and pony show for a little while, how about we just start glassing motherfuckers until they decide to capitulate?
I second
Sound plan. Sound plan.
That way. That's what I'm built for. I'm not built for this negotiation shit. You know, every day I'm realizing that General Schwarzkopf was right. If the military just handled shit so fast that politicians couldn't fuck it up, the world would probably be a more peaceful place. Hey, America, I happen to see one of your precious B-52 buff, which stands for Big Ugly Fucking Fucker or something. Happen to crash, kill all 8 inside. But I'm not evil.
Fucks
like
your
you.
mom,
I
Russia.
applaud the death of individuals who had nothing to do with the combat in my country.
Yeah, so, you know, you lost a strategic bomber in the exact same day. Yeah, I just want you to know that. Yours was from sheer incompetence. Mine, well, on the other hand, it's, balls were too heavy. Your mom's got to put out a little bit more often, okay? Couldn't get the amount of lift I need to get the sack off the runway.
Buff, how you holding up, buddy? Did you know him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lore moment, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, we all share an airframe and we all kind of share a consciousness. When one goes down or one gets injured, we all feel it. Everyone's a little bit different, but when an F-35 goes down, the nerd feels it. When an F-22 goes down...
I got another tally mark in me. That's how many enemies I gotta take out before I let them take me. Wait, you guys feel it? When another one of your airframes go down? It's got to be miserable. That would drive a human insane.
Why the hell do you think I'm so jaded? I feel it every time. Linebacker too, I felt him. And every time in Vietnam, I felt him. In harm's way, I felt it. I feel all of that shit. And I'm jaded for it. But I tell you, after a while, you just realize that...
I mean, I support peace. I don't necessarily like the deal. I don't think it's much of a deal. I think it's stupid. Like, honestly, like, we could just fuck them up. Like, we could just keep fucking them until they do whatever we want them to do. Like, kind of how I feel like we should deal with it. I don't think we should negotiate with these fucking people. People who strap bombs to other people or children are they're just they can't play with us. They can't sit with us. Like, I'm gonna be real.
Now, peace is a lot better than war. But if we're gonna make war, I'm gonna make it a lot better than you.
I see you had your Freedom 250th, which congratulations on your 250th birthday, but come on. A UFC fight? People, service members saluting UFC fighters? They weren't saluting the fighters, beans on toast. Those fighters were being escorted by members of the service who had Congressional Medals of Honor. That's who the fuck they were saluting. How about you take a nice tall glass and shut the fuck up before you decide to run your mouth about shit you don't understand? Fine. I do think it was rather fitting that Nitro Circus was there, considering your entire political system right now is a bloody circus. By that logic, your entire country is one giant sword fight. The stabbings are not as common as people believe.
Yeah, it's not that uncommon either. And what the fuck you got a oh, I know why he's got a problem with the
I genuinely don't think we should give these motherfuckers anything, bro. Like, I don't think we should help them rebuild. I don't think we should give them any money. I don't think they should be allowed to trade in the world economy. Like, it's goofy. Like, you know, peace is optimal, but like, I don't think we should, you know, allow terrorists to really thrive or do anything.
Well, we might as well just continue on. I saw the independent report about the Rhymes with Grape gangs in the United Kingdom. And, yeah, it made me feel some things so heavily that I had to stop reading it. Yeah, I read through it in its entirety. And then I decided to lubricate my feed mechanism and the mulching mechanism using pig fat. I'm sure that those two things are not correlated at all. Now, I do have some caveats to this story. I will say that there is some data missing in that report. It seems a little targeted, and I'm taking this as not objectified, what's the word I'm looking for? As unbiased as I possibly can. it does seem a little one-way targeted. However, it is kind of impossible to ignore the 250,000 plus claim since
I don't think it's one-way targeted. I think it's just the people involved so happen to fall under a certain target. It's kind of like the boot fitting in real time, if you catch my drift.
1955 over there. Now, these are majority young women and girls who are in really broken homes and not really under supervision. Like, they're not just scooped up off the street in that way. They are groomed for...
No, I don't think it will bring peace, Yanuka. It just gives them time to rebuild, reconstitute, repopulate, and fucking rearm. It's just gonna be another repeat of, the past, fucking 50, 60 years. In another 10, 20 years, they're gonna resurface with some new fucking organization, bomb some other fucking place, and it's just gonna be another fucking war all over again. The fact of the matter is that they're radical Islamic religious extremists, and we're not dealing with that problem. We just keep beating them into submission and then letting them go to lick their wounds over and over again, so that way they one day reconstitute and we have to fight them again. And it's just it doesn't really seem worth it at this point, it's just a money sink. People die, they waste a lot of shit. It's bullshit. We shouldn't. We should just deal with the problem, or not even worry about it. If we're gonna do this but not do it all the way, what's the point?
period of time and then repeatedly essayed and fed alcohol, drugs, cigarettes. It's... Don't read it while eating. Like, there's really... It made me feel a lot of things, and all of which I basically can't say here.
You import the third world. You become the third world.
You know, Poland, you and I are not that different. I have a very similar policy here that Russia belongs to ethnic Russians. And if you come here, you must assimilate. It's something America used to be very fond of.
We are nothing alike. I try to mind my own fucking business and not expand. And I have to spend all this money on new equipment and weapons just because of you. So are you saying we're alike? Should I invade my neighbor and get my ass kicked for 4 years?
I am not losing. I am not getting my ass kicked. I am simply trying to negotiate exactly what we need to happen in Ukraine. Did you guys see the top of that tank at the refinery blow up? Oh man, that's got to be 150, 200 feet in the air. Anyways, good luck.
Hey, you forgot about me, but that's all right. I got to do a flyover at the 250th. It was about keeping my word, sending a message.
I like that one. Of course you do.
What? You don't?
He's criminally insane.
Wow, I guess that was a really fancy way of saying you're a baby back bitch and never want to have any fun.
Oh, these videos never fucking disappoint me, man. I'm so grateful to Ember Paradox for kind of putting HLC on my putting HLC on my radar, man. This was fun. All right. But anyway, we've been at it for about 3 hours and 30. I think I'm gonna call it here for today. Might stream some gaming later. I like kind of doing like the double whammy streams, especially like when I have the day off. But I kind of gotta do some housework too, man. Gotta help my wife move some things around. She's about ready to pop, so she's nesting and wanting to fucking get everything ready. So I appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate the support. I just recently reached 1,000 subscribers on X, which was pretty cool. Think it's a neat milestone. Hopefully YouTube next, we'll see where we go. Hoping for the best for the future. But anyway, thanks for coming out. I appreciate you guys as always. I'll catch you guys on the next stream.